Yes.
Okay, and we're live.
All right, cool. Announcements at here live now. Hello.
Dash, 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 jump!
You can start off in the deeps. Everybody used to that stuff.
Listen, I want to get a third battery.
Yeah, being in the depths is pretty good for that.
This way. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Though the best way is to find old mines and get big concentrated gooble goops. Anyway, hello. Welcome to What's Up.
Hey,
What's Up is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Blacklist RG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Fighty Icebird, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV9000, Just the Fae, Jen Sandoval, Chris Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Trevor, Sean Pryor, Some Gunny Bob, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support. If you heard me grunt with effort, that was I had to lean over to grab my bottle of water while not moving my face away from the microphone. It is an important skill.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't hit any of these bomb flowers just laying on the fucking ground.
Yeah, they do be like that.
Wait,
I have 2 batteries right now, which is pretty good. Probably can figure out a third. I just need to talk to a guy. So, Tears of the Kingdom. Been out a week. A little over a week, technically, but, you know. It's the full week. And boy, howdy, chat. Is it a game?
It's a lot of game.
Yeah, so, like, well, Lucky's showing off one of our game parts right now. Dear Nintendo, please do UX stuff in patches. Okay, thanks.
Will this fire 3?
It might. I don't actually know. I don't experiment much with my Lionel bow.
I think it did. I think it actually gave me 3 for 1, but they all landed in the same area, so yeah. Neat.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. I might actually want to hang on to this then. They're not too
The power of
out.
fun interaction. That's what 100% of this game is. I was going to say 90%. No, 100% of this game is interesting, funny interactions. So, I'm gonna while Lucky's running around in the gloom, I'm gonna give him a step-off point because he's been saying a thing for a while that I totally agree with. There's a lot of stuff in this game, and sometimes it's almost like too much. Like you thought Breath of the Wild was too much. This is 200% more too much. There's take that too much and then add 2 more too muches to it. 3 much. Because let me explain to you, chat, where I'm at right now in this game. I am 3 temples down. I have the Master Sword. I have 18 hearts and 2 stamina wheels. I have the entire map unlocked. I have all 4 Great Fairies unlocked. I'm still regularly getting my butt blasted by enemies because slowly experience, gathers. Well, I can take on some low-level guys pretty easily. In the depths, anyway, I've started running into silver bokoblins who are nasty and also have dumb horns in Nintendo. How dare you? Why do they have a little light bobble on their horn? Otherwise, it would be perfect. I can't believe you've done this. Anyway, I have 2 batteries. I mentioned this earlier. So, there's that. I have a lot of shirts, not necessarily a lot of complete armor sets. I have, maybe a quarter of the light roots unlocked in the depths. Maybe? I've only done, 2 stops on the quest line you get after auto build that involves a certain recurring boss that I'm not necessarily going to spoil for people because I know that there may be people watching and listening this, eventually who, are not caught up. I know that, for instance, our buddy Marth has only just started playing. I think he's still in the Great Sky Islands. Axe, also part of the Studio Mega players, has just ordered the game and doesn't have his copy yet, So it's all over the place. So I don't even know if I'm anywhere near. I mean, I'm going to guess again, probably at the rate of the 3 out of allegedly 4 temples. There's a lot of numbers things that I may or may not mention. I may or may not bust out my conspiracy board, but I'm guessing I'm probably closer to the point where I could. Oh, I've done all the memories. Also, I should say that done all the Dragon's Tears. In case that wasn't implied by the fact that I have the Master Sword, because that kind of telegraphs that one for you. But I still feel like there's so much to go. Like, I don't think I'm ready to finish this game because I'm still, getting my butt kicked a lot by certain enemies. There's lots of areas I haven't explored. I found some of these old maps in the sky with big X's I gotta freaking find underground. There's a lot. And I don't know if you've got an articulation beyond that, but that is something you've been saying for basically this entire time about how just huge this game is.
Well, yeah, it's like to articulate, this game gives you a lot of things to do and not a lot of firm direction in how to do it. They do better than they did with Breath of the Wild, with Purah actually telling you, yeah, you should go to this area here and forth. But at no point you actually need to actually do that. You can just go do whatever. And as many people have found out playing this game, if you do that, you just find shit and you're just all like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, like a lot of stuff is telegraphed, but you have to know who to talk to. Like obviously, that's another one I've done. I've got the complete frog set. I've done all the stable side quests with Pen.
Yep.
So long, everybody.
I'm making that a sticker.
He's a great guy. So like that kind of like serves as a guide, right? I mentioned this in our Discord early, but like the game really do want you to go towards Rito Village and Hebra first, because that sets up a lot of stuff. That's where you first find Hestu. That's where you find your first geoglyph. That's where you can go to the Lucky Clover Gazette and get started on the quest with Pen after he mentions them to you. And obviously, the Wind Temple is the most baby temple.
Oh, now I'm more concerned. I had a fun time in the Wind Temple, and that boss fight was fun, but boy, there's a bit of running around there.
Like puzzle-wise, I've done the water and lightning temples. I don't think it's much of a telegraph. We've got an elemental theme. It's the same elements as the first game. They weren't, like, puzzle-wise difficult. Mostly fun playing around. Lots of classic Zelda dungeon stuff. I appreciate it. I think they have a fixed floor for enemies, but also scale up, so I'm not exactly sure. But I originally found the lightning temple first. Like, I immediately... Well, not immediately, but when I was poking around, I was like, I want to check out what's the Gerudo Desert like? What are those guys doing? And, got sucked into all that, went all the far away to do the temple, and then I was like, oh, these are level 3 soldiers in this room. Hey, Riju, I'm going to come back with better pants and, like, some new weapons and stuff. Okay, bye.
The Apelian...
And then I left her for, like, 20 hours of gameplay. When I did the water temple, I was encountering level 4 construct enemies. I don't know if that's just because of my natural game progression levels. Like I said, I've got freaking 18 hearts, and 2 stamina wheels. Gloomtree. Once again, I'd love to shout out whoever at Nintendo did the reimagining of enemies in this. Like, obviously, we got some new good stuff with some guys, but just so many classic and other guys back is so cool. The trees are freaky and weird. Likes are really interesting. They can still steal your shield. Watch out for that.
Bitch.
Aracudas are kind of really interesting, and I think those guys are based on some earlier stuff. Lucky said the other day he might go to the desert on stream, so we'll see if he runs into a Gibdos. But they did some very interesting things with Gibdos for tiers. And obviously, now that I won't spoil what those bosses are, but now that there are temples again and proper dungeons, there are proper temple bosses who are, the classic Legend of Zelda type bosses where it's like, hey, I hope you learned how to do this trick, how to do this mechanic, otherwise you're going to die. But yeah, so like, it's all really interesting. I still kind of feel like...
Oh, it's not one Gloomtree, it's
so
two!
In interviews, they've been saying, like, they think open-world style Zeldas are here to stay. And I think I can appreciate that. I know some people want to go back to the more linear experiences, and I will say I think there's still room for, like, remakes and some side games. Like, obviously, the HD remake of Link's Awakening happened between um, Breath and Tears, along with the Skyward Sword HD remaster. Obviously, so I think they will still keep making Zeldas like this, but also you might get some smaller side games and stuff as well, or some reimaginings. Imagine if they do like an HD remake of like Oracle of Ages and Seasons. That could be pretty cool. That would be next in our list. So like if you like classic Zelda, I don't think you're gonna be necessarily like sold out yet. I do hope that some of the mechanical limitations of this game are because this started as a story DLC, and that they like they didn't want to futz at the engine too much, and hopefully whatever game comes next.
Actually,
I mean, at this rate of dev time, we'll probably be on Switch 2 or whatever. They're already talking about rumors of a hardware upgrade next year, so I'm hoping that they rejigger some things, because you talked about this. Fusion is such a side grade. Like, it's really interesting, and some stuff is unique and cool. Other stuff is heckin' ugly. Oh, wow, you went to ham on some dragon bits.
Well, these are actually really easy to get. You just walk along their back and just pick them up from their spines.
Well, yeah, I have to get up on their back. I have not yet memorized their perfect appearance patterns.
Neither do I. Anytime I go launch up for everything, I check a dragon, then I go, dragon! And I chase it.
Haven't had a lot of luck with that. I usually see them in the sky when I'm on the ground. I did get for one of the spring quests, I needed, I think it was
I don't think I'm supposed to use a magic rod like a fucking hammer, but I'm gonna.
Hey, it works. They're the one who shaped it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I mean, right? Like, sometimes you get really clever fusions, like that magic rod, which is one-handed, plus that scale got you a hammer-type weapon, which means you can use it to bludgeon, but also, because it's magical, it'll shoot little elemental orbs. That's neato.
Yeah, they don't go very
stuff
far,
like
if I
that.
remember correctly, but they do go out a little bit.
I think it depends on the element, because they bounce. Thunder, I think, hangs in the air a little. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's more of like a Thor Hammer Mjolnir type situation.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. If you just stick a raw gem in the magic rod, you get your typical quote unquote rod type weapon. Though the magic rods are better, they do 3 projectiles instead of just 1. But yeah, so there's a lot of really interesting interactions, but there's also still this like constant resource problem. Like, I was doing I won't explain the details, but I was doing the boss of the water temple, and I'm like, this is very annoyingly resource intense. I'm running out of arrows and specific items and fruits I need, while also burning up my weapons on this boss. Am I going to run into a resource problem? And I do kind of think the game still has that, especially because I said this, I've got the Master Sword, but I haven't yet found the exact circumstances, if it exists, because this was a post-patch in Breath, where your Master Sword doesn't run out of energy. God, it's freaky.
I'm going to use it, though. Let's stab a bitch.
Oh, no, that's funny, yeah, but like I said,
God,
there's some cool-looking stuff, there's some weird-looking stuff.
No.
You want to pay attention, basically, chat? Uh-oh.
No. 5. That was 5 of them.
It's a lot of trees. That one guy look like... Oh, no, they're just emerging from the shadows. Do you have all your minor armor?
Nope. I got 1 piece.
It's not that hard to... Well, I think did I get all of them out of old maps? No, I think I stumbled into 1 just randomly. It's good, because it's got decent defense, and when you get the set bonus, it's called Glowing Steps. It means your footsteps also glow, so you get more ambient light. Well, no. When you got into like, I'm fairly certain this was the eventual patch. If you use the Master Sword while it was glowing, which is against like a Blight Ganon or whatever, it would not run out of energy during that fight. I'm pretty sure that was just a default feature they patched in. So like it would the same versus Calamity Ganon itself. because people were like lamenting that, they needed the Master Sword. They wanted to use the Master Sword for these boss fights, but it ran out of juice. Even now, once again, despite the fact there's this whole big thing about it being the revitalized Sword of Legend, literally that's its subtitle special effect, it still runs out of juice, and I'm just like, God, guys, there's...
I think a lot of people are slightly bewildered by, out of all the criticism the game got, decided to double down on their durability thing, which is the crux of a lot of this.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like I said, they did a lot of work to justify why weapons are degradable. And if you do get the decayed weapons in the depths, they do have like intrinsic durability upgrades and do a little bit more damage. They're not perfect, and I mean, to be fair, it is a realistic outcome that, listen, sometimes Link's in here swinging these swords less like a sword, more like a hatchet, all right? Like, you can do some gnarly bad things to these blade edges, and you're not supposed to do that to swords. And obviously, like, I think that them breaking is the shorthand for them becoming, like, bent and unusably dull, because the game isn't that deeply programmed, but it's still... It's still got a resource thing, and it's just like there's opportunities to give you like static, indefinite resources. I mentioned this as well. In the tutorial island, they give you the broken Master Sword as like a damage 1 weapon. And my first thought was, oh, they've given me an emergency weapon. It's bad, but I'll always be able to use this. And then I was using it in the tutorial, and they're like, it's running out of energy. And I'm just like, okay, guys, okay. I do not understand. It feels like the devs just didn't want to give you an old reliable, and I can kind of understand that, like, after you had to do all this like modeling and math work to make the fusion mechanic work, there would be some players who would just bum rush the Master Sword and never use anything else again. And, like, that is kind of a shame because you're not experiencing a lot of the really neat stuff you can do with fusion. But God, I was just like, I get worried in these boss fights because it's not just a final test, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a like, hey, do you remember the mechanics? It's also, hey, do you have enough resources to do this?
I don't know. Some of them, like I said, I've only done the water temple one. Not the water temple, the wind temple.
Wind.
And technically, you don't need a fucking weapon for that one at all. For the boss fight, I should say specifically.
No, that one's really cleverly designed. Actually, no, I think you do need something for the... I mean, I guess technically it's this should not count as a spoiler because you've seen him in trailers. Hypothetically, I guess Sidon could just keep poking the boss over and over again, but your AI friend's reactivity is a little limited. They seem to attack on very set numerical patterns, again, so that you can't just rely on them to take care of problems for you. And so, like, the odds that Sidon will actually catch the boss and poke him to death through his whole HP bar seem a little low. So there are, like, reusable tricks you can do. Obviously, he has a little mechanical power like all your friends do. Sadly, it's not Mipha's Grace.
Is it Sidon's Smile?
Okay. No, he gives you a little water shield. Gives you 1 hit of invincibility, but also if you attack, it turns into a ranged.
Sick.
Also, no, everything respawns in this game. Every time there's a blood moon, that's not just monsters come back. Also, loot and stuff comes back. Blood moons are more frequent in this game, I think, to encourage it to be easier to get resources. But yeah, it's still like, I don't know. It's...
Did I get set off?
There were opportunities for them to give you like some light passive stuff, and I kind of wish they've done it. But
Investigate it. Investigate it.
Yeah. Oh, those poor dumb idiots. Like, I still like the game. Obviously, for stuff like this, right? Which is just the stuff you can do with bombs is hilarious. The stuff you can do with vehicle building and stuff is really funny. And honestly, it's not the resource stuff that makes me, go yarg and clutch my controllers. That's almost always weird Ultra Hand puzzles. Ultra Hand is neat but I hate that it's not a free rotate.
Yeah, no, the specific axis kills me sometimes.
Yeah, the fact that it's fixed rotation means you will get some and also fixed FOV, like you are stuck looking at it from where Link is standing. It can be awkward sometimes with the way they've designed some of the puzzles.
Yeah.
The battery grind is not actually that bad. Like if you want to knuckle down and get batteries up, you can hunt for just raw Zonite, which by the way you can take a picture of and put on your Sensor Plus once you unlock that.
By the way, like that's what I'm doing right now. All you gotta do is basically go from enemy camp to enemy camp in the depths, and you'll just gather Zonite.
But
not that
also, the chat overlay's not on screen. That's correct.
Oh, it's not. Oops. Hang on. There he goes.
But also, if you can find mines, the underground mines, which seem to be, I think they're keyed to civilization on the surface.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, some of them are like that. They usually have either like a Zonite construct who is refining Zonite, who will sell you the crystallized charges. Anyway, which you can buy for both large and small Zonite. Those are separate currencies. And so you can, gather your resources that way. There's also, I think there's a guy who just takes your raw Zonite and goops it into crystallized charges as well.
Yes.
And also there are just chests underground that will contain, like, if you find like an obscure spot in the depths, you will just sometimes find big Zonite crystal clusters. So it's not that bad. It's a little different than getting stamina wheels, right? Because it's technically you buy the upgrades per segment, so to get a full battery, it's 3, which is like 300.
Actually, where am I at right now?
But still, it's nice. And also, honestly, if you're willing to just eat Zonite charges, you can make 1 or 2 battery last a while as well. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's not really that complex. And like I said, the vehicle stuff and a lot of things are really interesting.
Like no, I consider like the Zonite and the battery like a straight up upgrade. Just giving like horses are fun and stuff, but being able to make your own, like, people have been going ham on fucking Twitter, and the poor Koroks.
Well, yeah, they added a new kind of Korok puzzle where you got to move them places, and so you're encouraged to abuse them. Also, technically, obviously some stuff uses resources, but I'll check if Lucky knows this, and I'll give chat a tip if they don't. Though I think a Zonite construct explains this somewhere when you're talking with auto build. Hey, did you know you can use when using auto build, you can just turn Zonite into parts?
Yeah.
There you go, chat. That's a good one for you if you didn't figure that one out there. So if you need a glider, if you just got enough Zonite in your pocket, you can just make a glider, okay?
Oh, yeah.
If you've got a monster truck saved, you can just make one. You don't need to wait for the specific capsules. Obviously, some of those capsules are very important for stuff, because I feel like there are a lot of little, like, Zonite storage areas that have hot air balloons and sometimes gliders with fans, but not a lot of flame emitters you need to make those work. And I don't want to waste rubies to make hot things. I want to sell those so I can afford housing and outfit upgrades.
Oh, I finally did get started on my house. I should show you guys when I get a chance, but
yeah, the house is cool. Like they found a way to improve that. It's real neat.
Like, I do think Ultra Hand is good. Like, I think it is better than just straight up Magnesis.
That's another thing we should say. Ultra Hand is definitely an upgrade. It's just that there are still some engine limitations towards it, which mean that specific puzzles get a little annoying.
Wait a minute.
And I still say that. Well, he's figuring something out.
No, sorry. I've been trying, like, these giant walls. They're the fucking rivers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I know someone mentioned that everything's inverted, so what is, deep on the surface is instead tall here. But yeah. I didn't
Which is really freaking annoying sometimes, but yeah.
But I didn't correct the rivers and the mountains here. Okay, so
it does mean there's some awkward ones you got to work out, but there's some fun stuff to go around there, yeah. But yeah, no, like obviously, like Fuse again is just like, okay, it's cool, like it's the ability to, thinking about it from a pure utility aspect, right? The ability to just go like the game doesn't have, flame blades, electric blades, ice blades anymore, right? Those are just gone.
Yeah.
Because you can just stick things that are elemental in your regular swords. That kind of customization, really useful. The things you can do with like magic rods and gemstones, very important. It's just that like I said, the rest of the sword grind is just really weird and out there. And sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, like no, like on my personal opinion, they really haven't changed the resource management of this game at all. Which is, did I use all my fucking pins? Where are they?
Yeah, you've used all your pins. Double check underground. And in the sky.
Okay, because I am going to this one. That's the one I'm actually going for. Where are the rest of my fucking pins?
Well, there's one right there. Are they in the sky? Did you do some sky pins?
I don't think so.
6. They added 2 more pins. 6 pins still isn't enough.
Well,
Nintendo, give me the
what I
7th.
usually try to do is if I find something, I pin it and then I change it to something. Like if you look on my screen here, hearts are shrines I haven't been gone to, and the stars are Koroks and sign guys I haven't gone to. Down below, swords are those dudes who have the unblemished weapons.
Your little traveler spirits, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm just like,
You got a good system. I usually use the little crystal sign for shrines, but yeah, I understand what's up.
where are my fucking?
Are they in the sky? Check the sky layer.
I did check the sky.
I don't know why you would pin them in the sky, but
No, like. I was probably doing this. Wait. Where was I? Let me zoom in a little bit here. There's a lot on this map, though. That's another problem. It's like sometimes I always get so confused when I'm looking for something. Sometimes.
yeah, they again. Remember, we talked about this. Game is big. It's 3 times as big. There's 300% game here. So they've added caves and wells and stuff, which kind of go on your world map, but you don't get a detailed map of, unlike dungeons, which actually have little dungeon maps in them. You've got your depths and your sky and stuff, and there's so much like.
Oh, shout out to the
there's-
fucking mechanic about the Satori, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait, can I not put it? Wait. Oh, no, I'm an idiot. It doesn't let me put a pin directly over the fucking thing. Wild.
Okay. You can't pin chasms.
Yeah, no, if you go to specific trees, like they look like cherry blossom trees, there should be like a little offering bowl. And you give them an offering, the Satori come out, and when I did it last, he did a thing that highlighted all the caves and the cave entrances in the surrounding area. Just big old.
Oh, nice. Okay. I remember that a lovely Gerudo lady told me about that under a cherry tree, but I didn't see the offering bowl with her. So
I think it was.
I'll keep an eye out for that. That's handy.
Yeah, no, like this game.
That's the thing. The game gives you the tools, right? But you got to figure that out because people explain stuff to you way more, but you got to find the right people, right?
Right. Like, if you find Misha, she'll just give you like 3 coordinates to like 3 pieces of armor. Just straight up mark it on your map. But she's
3 really good pieces of armor. It's like the climbing shirt, the rubber shirt, and
was it the
barbarian shirt, I think.
I don't remember.
There's other quests as well. Like I haven't done it yet, but I have stumbled onto the actual quest that is like track down the Fierce Deity set.
Oh yeah, no, I've completed that one. I love the Fierce Deity set.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
just
also how you
randomly,
get the
thanks to
Fierce
an
Deity
old
sword,
map,
by the
found
way.
some tunics in the ground.
Oh yeah, all right, come on, let's go.
So like, there's a lot. There's a lot, and I know some people are like, "Oh, I don't think this game guides you way more than the first one." Yeah, kind of, but like not.
It doesn't force you though, I think is the thing.
Yeah. Like honestly, they really probably looking at it, they really probably should railroad you into Hebra a little bit better. Like I said, that's actually like a big ramp up, right? Because like, chat, if you haven't done them, geoglyphs are important. They're very important for stuff. Careful.
Sorry, I just realized I haven't gone down. I haven't
Yeah, it's dark as knobs in there.
I'm just watching the light. There you go.
It's very dark, and sometimes I get irritated at the way they've designed the depths. But I think that's the point.
I love the
Like the depths is supposed to be. Yeah, the
right.
glide set's freaking sick when you get it all the way. I need to get some more Arakuda eyeballs so I can actually get. I'm like 1 piece away from the level 2 and everything to get the no falling damage bonus. So yeah, like, and every city you go to has like so many like radiating side quests, most of which are just fluff. Like some are important, like went to Zora's domain. They had a couple of casual side quests. Clear the temple, you get some more side quests. Because Let's see. Lucky's unlocked the whole map, so you can see on the world map that there's something wrong with Zora's domain currently.
It's very gooped.
It's a little goopy. Once you degoop it, you can actually go around and like get your complete Zora set, stuff like that. And there's that just like unlocks coruscating like new side quests to do. There's side quests in Gerudo Town. There's side quests in Reno Village that unlock and stuff. Some stuff is simple, some stuff is complex, and it's all like interesting and fun. And I like both the growth in game, but also like the writing that this game is a sequel. But at the same time, that's also really weird, right?
What
Like, the writers, I almost feel like couldn't decide whether to treat it like 100%. This is a sequel. You need to play Breath of the Wild to go first, or also I do like what's going on with that rock.
Hello?
The spooky rock.
I'll shoot a bomb. Oh, hey, are these the statues? They are the Oh, these are the Zora statues.
Lanayru mine.
I don't think these are the ones that
Yes, there is a giant mine under Lanayru. But yeah, like, I feel like the writers couldn't decide whether or not they wanted to write this as like a full sequel. You have to play number one or not, because some stuff is just confusing. Now, admittedly, I like to speculate about these kinds of things. I was just talking about, all the other the Greebles, right? That I was just mentioning this in our Discord. I like the open-ended storytelling and open-ended world building of a lot of Breath, and that continues into Tears, because it makes you like ask questions and figure stuff out for yourself. And sometimes there isn't a solid answer. And that can be really interesting because it lets the audience come up to the interpretation. The fact that this game is already nonlinear as hell is like really interesting for discussion. But it also means like, boy, I can't wait until we're at a point where we can just talk about everything in this game for a while, because like there's stuff going on I feel like I need to discuss with people, but I can't yet because we're all doing everything out of order and nobody actually knows what's going on yet. Like, okay, some stuff is locked in. The memories, the Dragon Tears, tell you a story. Nope. That was a little hug of Discord lag. Is my Audacity going to be okay? It's lagging a little bit. Let me reset that audio real quick. Yes, I am recording audio for patrons.
There we go.
Get your hearts back. Get your goop back.
All right, there's a build station. There's some pose over there.
Light roots are really interesting in that they are fast travel points like shrines, and they do have a beneficial effect in that they remove gloom, but they don't heal your hearts. So it's really interesting.
Hang on one second. I just
okay.
realized
No dropped audio. All right, cool.
This light route is at a shrine that I have not been to, so
yeah, that's always a fun one. Okay.
Let's mark that.
All right, my audio is reading again.
Righto.
But yeah, sorry. What I was gonna say was that like, if you do all the Dragon's Tears, okay, that's pretty cool. You understand what's going on. I mean, some not cool stuff happens, but like you get a grasp of the thing. There are gaps in that though. Like if you go to your memories log, which I don't necessarily think like should show on screen because some of the titles of this memories are very spoilery.
Okay, very well then.
But
you're like, no. Okay.
Oh, off stream you can look and notice that while the last memory is the last memory in the list, there are memories between some of those memories and before that are not unlocked by just doing Dragon Tears, and I'm just like, Oh, also, hey, as we've discussed emotional damage and stuff earlier, hey, chat. After you've done all the Dragon Tears, make sure you go back to the Forgotten Temple and check in with Impa and explain to her what's going on. Because I know that many of you, like myself, were emotionally nettled by the story content of the Dragon's Tears. But, and I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's an objective or a story or anything. It's just, I felt it's a very necessary conversation to have with Impa where she talks about, 3 bombs for one. Big bangy. But Impa talks about how she's not going to give up on certain things, and that helped me resolve to also not give up hope yet. Impa's like 120 years old. If she's not going to give up, you can't give up yet. So I will continue to suck down the hopium here. But, like, so memories are one thing, but also just in general, there's a lot of really confusing stuff. I know I keep saying it, but my personal bugaboo right now, because this is something we've been discussing off and on in the Discord. There's I think everybody kind of figured this out from the trailers, and I will say this is not a spoiler because it is very clearly something that happens right as you go through the opening cutscenes and stuff, right? There's some time travel in this. Shocking, I know. In Zelda, we futz with time again. We may have broken the timeline again. And in fact, I would say we definitely broke the timeline because there's some very interesting stuff going on. So when you start the game, you go underground into a Zonai ruin with Zelda, and you look at some stuff. She takes some pictures. And some of those panels are covered up, and I'm wondering if maybe we'll go back there and uncover those panels that are covered. But interestingly enough, one of the panels she did not take a picture of was the one counting the number of secret stones. I'm pretty sure in that mural, there are 7 secret stones. Chat, how many secret stones are there in the game?
There's 7.
Is it 7?
Yeah.
Yes. There is 7. But you could also say there's not that number. This is the time thing I'm talking about. Yeah, I won't say yeah. Just remember to keep counting. Keep counting the number on screen. But that is just one of the many weird things going on. Yes, there are 7 sages. That we can say. Well, it's weird. I would say there's 7 sages, but the game tries to phrase it as there are 6 sages, and then Rauru is the King of Light. But he also has a secret stone, so he's a sage, I think. Yeah. But yes, we're back on sages. Like I think I've mentioned this before last week, but it's definitely clear to me now. While obviously this is a lot of the same team who worked on stuff like, Breath and Skyward Sword before it, the original Breath of the Wild was kind of a send-up of Legend of Zelda 1, right? Kind of return to your roots. That open-ended, chaotic, you have no idea what the heck is going on thing. Just wandering around, running into really powerful dudes and doing weird stuff for, keep it's a secret to everyone and all that stuff. Tears is absolutely a send-up of Ocarina. You will find a lot of interesting parallels there. Even the fact that they use the name of Ocarina's Sage of Light as the name of the King of Hyrule, Rauru. Like, there's some vibes here, right? There's some stuff, some loops going on. So that is very much clear. But also, there's some other timeline stuff that's not very clear. And it's one of those questions where I'm like, okay, so, and actually, you mentioned this as well. I really feel like I need some clarification on the timeline here. Because from the context we understand, at least according to previous Hyrule historians and stuff, Skyward Sword is always, at least unless they make another prequel, Skyward Sword is always at the front of the story, right? Like, Skyward Sword is pre the founding of Hyrule. It is supposed to feature the first Zelda and the first Link. It involves forging the Master Sword, all that fun stuff. It sets up our recurring plot of recursion throughout time. Cool. Okay. And previously, Breath of the Wild is supposed to be always at the end of the timeline because it is at least like 10,000 years after all kinds of stuff has happened. There's the game originally frames it as Calamity Ganon rises, the Sheikah use their technology, advanced tech to kick his butt, but know that he's going to come back. So they set up all the technology and the shrines and stuff in order to stop him. And it doesn't work because Calamity Ganon is a cheater. A cheaty pumpkin eater. Okay, cool. And then there's a 100-year gap after the Calamity to actual Breath of the Wild. So Tears references the quote-unquote first king of Hyrule. That's Rauru. And, he's a Zonai. That's all pretty clear. The Zonai stuff is super, super ancient. Nobody's sure exactly where it came from. At least in the memories and stuff we see, there's no sign of the Sheikah advanced technology existing yet. So probably sometime before all that stuff from Breath. But, Does that line up though? Because there's a Rito in the past, and at least according to previous stuff they've said, again, I'm always open to if they're changing the continuity, they change the continuity. I just need them to tell me they changed the continuity, okay?
I think this is my big issue. There's some people who are like, no, this is completely separate. There's some saying it's at one place, another place. I'm like, everything is fucking valid. Just fucking someone tell me what it is so I can like.
So we can stop going in circles. Like,
Yeah, because
there's a big timeline picture in a book somewhere that I need a new one for Tears. And technically for multiple parts of Tears, because again, we're back to time travel, so there's multiple time points. Oh, is there no game sound?
Is there no game sound?
Going for like 40 minutes and nobody's realized that.
Well, I do have it turned down though, but also you got to remember, Breath of the Wild is actually very sound minimal. So let me.
Yeah. There's some nice music cues, but I haven't yet hit quite the emphasis of that.
It's definitely picking up on Elgato though, so
okay, it might just be down low and there's no ambient music in the depths, so
yeah.
Mostly you're just gonna hear vague paragliding sounds and clap clap footsteps. Okay, maybe it was a little low. I actually think Lucky and I are about the same volume when we're actually like fully projecting. It's just audio be weird sometimes. You might have yourself a little low on the OBS. On my end, I'm capturing it, and I think our sound levels are about the same. But yeah, like that's all I need is just I would like a graphic that explains the timeline, because the way I previously understood it. So we understand that it is canonical that Ocarina of Time broke the timeline. This is a thing that happened. There are three
Yes.
different versions of the timeline.
Yes.
Basically, there's the one where what is it? Link stayed an adult, one where Link went back to being a kid, and then one where the timeline where basically there was no Link, the one we removed a Link from.
No, there is no Link stays an adult. There's
right.
there's the Link that returns. There's the timeline where Link returns as a child. The world where Link left.
Right.
And then the one where he fails.
Yes. We have one where it didn't work out, and then goes through the thing. Yeah. So, and that results in like different stories. There's
Yeah, because Wind Waker resolves from the world that the hero left, if I remember correctly. And the original Legend of Zelda and Legend of Zelda 2 originate from the world where the hero fails. Actually,
yes,
I have a Hyrule Historia. I could pull this out if I need to.
I believe. Well, the adult timeline is technically the one where he leaves because he doesn't stay an adult. That's canon. But and I think Twilight Princess results from the child timeline actually, where he goes back and tattles on Ganondorf because the sages try to cap that guy, and it just does not work. One local man too angry to die. A recurring theme.
It really is that way.
Yeah, but so in the timeline that results in Wind Waker, that results in the Triforce being used to flood all of Hyrule. Just to mostly screw over Ganondorf, I think. If I remember rightly. That was our plan, was we're going to just ruin it. I guess we were hiding the whatever. No. There's lots of different disappear. Yeah, Twilight Princess is epic because it doesn't matter that Child Link disappears. It matters that Child Link, because yes, it's true, he does get cross-dimensional into Majora's Mask. But that's still after he gets back and uses the power of time travel to tattle on Ganondorf.
Oh, what's this?
Oh, what? Fine. Oh, it's a mine site.
What is that, spiky boy? Oh, is this a Yiga place? It is.
Oh yeah, no, that's a Yiga stronghold. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Where are you under right now?
I'm under Kakariko. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. You can get schema stones from here.
I need the last Yiga piece. I don't know where it is, though.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where it is. Somebody told me it's not at their surface stronghold in the desert, which is weird because that's where the mask and shirt are its surface strongholds.
Well, one's at the old man's house on Great Plateau. The other's at the old ancient lab.
Yeah, the
So it has
Aquatech
to
lab.
probably be another repurposed building that you've been to, but I'm just not
I'll
sure.
double check their old hideout in the desert because they've got that marked on their map. Ah, yeah. So there is a mine under every like village and town. Okay.
Oh, hey. There's a dude that's one of the dudes that'll sell you the charged crystal things, which is gonna be important because I'm gonna need those in a second.
Nice. Yeah, you got to make sure you. I think he won't interact if you don't beat up all the Yiga here, though. You got to banish them.
I'm gonna banish them. This is my
Monk
spot.
wheels
This is my
intruders.
mine.
But yeah, no. So like, in the Wind Waker timeline, we have Rito. I believe it is canonically stated that the Rito come from Zora,
Yes.
despite the fact that well, actually no. Technically, some of the Zora are or all of Zora. There's a difference between lake and sea Zora at some point. Anyway, some Zora are freshwater and not saltwater. But they become birds, so that explains where Rito come from. And the Kokiri stop pretending to be children and become Koroks. They become weird tree people. Which, honestly, I mean, gives you a more diversified character design thing, but is also still will never not be kind of creepy. That Koroks used to canonically be, you know, normal green-themed anime-ass children and are now weird little leaf boys.
Can I steal your car?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Cool.
If it's not gummed up somewhere. Yeah, you can hijack their monster trucks.
Okay, nope. Can't stop. Can only
No,
go
that's it.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the control stick is cool. This game's not good at reversing, which sucks.
Oh, I have to
don't-
activate the mine. Okay. This will probably freak out the Yiga. That's what it is. Okay.
Or they're already all dead. I don't know.
Oh, I thought I could actually do damage to him and just end this fight early.
No. They're invincible until they reveal themselves. It's very silly. But
Yeah,
anyway,
how do you
yeah,
know I'm
so-
a famous herd? Yeah. Can't you guys just be happy with researching?
No. They want your power, but they don't have your Dragon Daddy hand. And there's probably a gigantic Bokoblin statue because it's a thing for something.
Oh,
Listen, I haven't figured it out yet,
Okay.
but I would like to point out, for people who know, you have 5 rings. Link does have a thumb ring. There's lots of meaning. 3s, 5s, 7s.
well, you have rings, but you also have like the giant glow orb on the back of your palm too.
Well, yes, but I think that one is already in use
Yes.
with your Rauru powers.
Rauru.
But yeah, so anyway, I was talking about Rito, right? Rito exists in Rauru's Hyrule, coinciding with Zora's. Even though, at least as far as we've been explained previously, Rito come from Zora, and the reason why they coexist in Breath of the Wild is Breath of the Wild is supposed to be basically so far in the future down the timeline that some people phrase this as all timelines converge. I've also heard it phrased as, like, Aonuma and the producers actually said that it was so far in the future that it doesn't matter which timeline it's on, both of which are functionally the same. It just depends on whether or not, like, you're talking about the in-universe or the out-of-universe explanation. But basically, Breath of the Wild exists at a point so far in the future that the ocean has receded, and so you are left with both separate Rito and Zora. And my current best grasp theory is that
Launchpad.
Rauru must be the first king of this new Hyrule after the oceans recede, which is how we can have Rito and Zora in his timeline. But also, I don't fucking know. I don't know. And I'd like an explanation. Unfortunately, I think given how little about this game was explained ahead of time as well, I think we're going to have to wait a while, you know, until maybe we start getting, like, whenever they get into their season pass cycle and stuff, they'll actually start, like, maybe giving us some hints and some explanations and offer us some guidebooks. That said, there's still a lot of really interesting thematic stuff here. like, for instance, you've got Rauru, King of Light. He's a Zonai. He has light powers. Cool. He clearly has the sacred power. His wife, the Queen of Hyrule, who is a Hylian. She is if you've seen the trailers, the dark-skinned, super large-eared Hylian woman, Sonia. She has time powers, which is a thing, but is not usually associated with sagacity. And then when Zelda does the thing where she disappears in a flash of light. You see this in the trailer. You get the first geoglyph, and it kind of sets up that she's clearly gone back in time. Sonia and Rauru say that they can sense that she has both their powers, but also I don't know if that makes sense in the version of the timeline we see for stuff we don't really need to get into.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many questions. They keep going. And like I said, I don't think we're gonna get in the interest there. What I do want to say is something that is very interesting thematically, and I wonder if we'll get some emphasis of it. But the thing I have noticed is that basically there's a lot of meta context to Zelda. I think everybody kind of understands that the universe is by design cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny considering that, let's see. Yeah, the actual rate of new Zelda games really slowed down. So it was just Skyward Sword, then it was 5 years to Breath, and then 6 years to Tears. So arguably in terms of games they have produced that are actually brand new, not counting for remakes and stuff, Skyward is relatively recent in the timeline. Did they actually mention a Sonia in the Hyrule Historia? You can crack that open sometime and double check.
I do feel like Sonia is a name I've heard before.
Zelda likes to reuse names, evidenced by the fact that they're keeping Links and Zeldas. And Ganons. It's part of the cyclical nature. But in Skyward Sword, by the way, Skyward Sword spoilers, even though the game's 10 years old now or whatever. But yes, Impas as well. Now that I could understand as well, but also that's still the Rito question. I need really, I just need them to say that we lied. Rito have always existed. Why didn't you see them in other games? They were in the sky. Fuck you. Help me out here. Aonuma, somebody at Nintendo. But what I was gonna say was that in Skyward Sword, we very clearly set up what's going on here. Princess Zelda is the mortal reincarnation of the goddess Hylia, who is our big boss goddess. I think she is supposed to be above the golden goddesses Din, Ferori, and Nehru.
I thought she was created by them to watch over the Triforce.
Did they? Is she one down from? It's hard to tell.
I can't remember. I really can't.
The games go back and forth about who is more important. And we've even talked about this with Tears and arguably with Breath as well. Nobody really seems to care about the Triforce in the Breath Tears timeline.
I mean, it's not that it's oh, who dat?
Yeah, it's not forgotten, right?
Oh, is that a fucking?
It's still part of the Hylian family's royal seal.
Fuck. I'm gonna fight it.
Oh yeah, that's a Gloom Talus. Also, that's a Wild Stallhorse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who are pretty baller because they have they can traverse over gloom just like vehicles can.
If I shoot it, will it bloom on him? It does not bloom on him. Son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can beat it. Will it give me a gloom heart?
Well, yes. Zelda, when at the end of Breath, when she seals Calamity Ganon, you see the Triforce symbol.
Yeah, it's also it's still on the iconography. You can see it in Hyrule Castle and stuff.
Yeah, it's still the Hyrule family's royal seal. It's all over the royal guard armor.
All right, I got 44 of these bitches. Let's do this.
Okay, so in Skyward Sword, Fee says that Hylia was entrusted with the golden power by the three goddesses.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that tracks. That still makes sense with the cutscenes I remember from Twilight Princess. Um,
I don't know
and
if I
then
did mention
it wasn't, I don't think, explicitly phrased this way in Skyward Sword, but funnily enough, a piece of incidental dialogue from Tears, I think, kind of clarifies how this relationship gets started. So, in the way back, pre-Skyward Sword, there's the goddess Hylia. Her followers are the Hylians, but there is no Hyrule yet. And just one day, Demon King Demise springs forth from the ground with all his monsters. Now, I think that at least our current interpretation seems to be that basically where there's a, I mean, I don't want to say a cosmic dualism because it's always a triangle, but there's a balance of good and evil in the Legend of Zelda timeline. And my current theory is predicated on if you talk to Sweeping Lady in the emergency shelter in Lookout Landing, and you go through a side quest where she rediscovers the bargainer statue, the dark statue, because he's apparently in the 4 or 5 years or whatever since Breath, somebody found that statue and threw it in a hole somewhere.
I think he actually said that the goddess did it to him somehow. Not entirely sure how, but
again, I haven't actually completed all the goddess springs, but they strongly imply that even though the what they call the mother goddess statue, the big boss lady statue in the Forgotten Temple, has fallen over, they imply that they can make her stand up again. So I'm just gonna, I guess statues can just decide to move themselves if they feel like it.
listen,
So I could see the goddess deciding to relocate that guy. Yeah, statue iconography. I know they talked about how one of their big theme was hands, but statues are also very recurring again. But anyway, after you go through all that, that Sweeping Lady, I think it's Robbie's wife, actually, if I remember her correctly. But she explains that basically that demon statue naturally arose from the fact that the goddess existed and gave her blessings. Basically, where there is light, there must be darkness type shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me that just in general, the presence of the goddess Hylia caused Demise to exist. Anyway, Demise wants the Triforce. Hylia tells him, no way, Jose. And, yeets everybody up into the sky. And to do so, she gives up her divine form to be, reborn as a mortal so that someday she can seal Demise for goodest. Because, there's a recurring theme with this guy. Seals are leaky. Again, if you take this kind of dualism into account, it seems like in order for good to be able to be active in the world, that means that eventually evil must get free. You cannot have an overabundance of light, which I'm sure some people in the audience will appreciate. But basically, it seems like no matter what you do to the forces of darkness, if you've got Goddess Hylia juice rattling around, eventually you'll get a Demon King. They'll just pop out of the ground again. I don't know. But the story of Skyward Sword is basically the original Zelda is the mortal incarnation of Hylia. She's come back. She's reincarnated. She's got her goddess juice and needs to figure out this whole thing. But also to defeat Demise, we're going to need a powerful tool. I believe the goddess sword was definitely made by the goddess Hylia. I think it was implied to be like her weapon in the original war versus Demise.
I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't have enough
juice. She still had a champion, though. That's the thing, though. She still had a champion, so I think it was the gift she gave to her champion.
Yes.
Or something.
But, and she baked Fee into it and basically sets up this whole plan where, like, we're going to need to strengthen this sword with the power of the 3 goddesses, et cetera, et cetera. It sets our boy Link on a great big trial to become the chosen champion of the goddess. And you do ultimately defeat Demise, and you kill him. He's definitely dies at the end of Skyward Sword. But as he's dying, he basically goes, all right, well, screw you. An incarnation of my hatred shall follow you and Hylia's descendants forever. And thus we are locked into the infinite cycle of creation and destruction, light and dark, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it is personally my understanding that incarnations of Demise are roughly similar. That's where Ganon and Ganondorf come from. they're not always literally the same guy, but he seems to have some ability to tap into previous Ganon/Demise juice at times. And also sometimes it is actually the same guy, because that is kind of one of Ganondorf's big things, is just, as I mentioned earlier, local man too angry to die. The ability of the Triforce of Power makes him, fucking invincible, as they say.
The Wind Waker Ganondorf definitely remembers. That was kind of one of his steals of wanting to break out of the cycle.
Yes, and I gotta be honest, it's been a while since I played Wind Waker. Please re-release on Switch, Nintendo. Okay, thanks. They might still imply that could technically still be the original Ocarina of Time Ganondorf. Because there's no more Gerudo for him to come from. He might have just not drowned and stuck around that long. Or he might have just popped up. I'm not sure. Somebody in chat will probably fact check me. The Twilight Princess Ganondorf is absolutely the exact same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. And as I said, the sages try to cap him immediately, and it just doesn't work. So they throw him into the Twilight Realm, where he will never be a problem again. Oops. So yeah, and this also explains how dehydrated Ganondorf can be at the bottom of Hyrule Castle after roughly a bajillion years. It's kind of his thing. Homie, don't die. That said, I believe there are canonically other incarnations of Demise from different games that are not necessarily about Ganon, and the different forms of Ganon/Ganondorf do sometimes actually manifest differently. Like in A Link to the Past, for instance, it is actually Ganon, but he's hiding as Aghanim for a while. And then he reveals his true form. And so on and so forth. So there's some wiggle room up there, but there's a lot going on. And we talked about this on Discord, but I'll just reiterate. My current theory for how Calamity Ganon works is, because we now know that actual Ganondorf-ass Ganondorf was bottled up deep underneath the castle. And honestly, again, considering that it seems like Hyrule Castle may have moved locations in-game, we may have deliberately built a giant fortress on top of him for this reason. It's hard to tell. Somebody in the timeline has okay, so he doesn't die in the Wind Waker timeline. He just gets sealed up and then gets free, because he always gets free.
Well, yeah, you leave the Master Sword literally plugged into his forehead.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's quite a bit of greeble gobbles going on. But yeah, so I suspect that Calamity Ganon was just G-Dorf's bodiless demise juice leaking out and getting everywhere. This is why I think that the appearance-wise, the Gloom is functionally similar to Malice, but it doesn't mechanically work exactly the same. Pools of Malice in the original Breath just hurt you a lot, and you could actually dispel them by destroying the magic eyeballs. In Tears, it is explicitly stated that no known force can dispel the Pools of Gloom. But yeah, so we're locked in this cyclical thing. Ganon recurs. Every time you get a capital Z Zelda, she is a new reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. This is why she has, sacred powers, light arrows, all that stuff. And obviously, different Zeldas are different characters. While it is a reincarnation, they get their own thing. They may or may not have access to past memories, etc. But there's different stuff. Like obviously, Ocarina of Time Zelda, pretended to be Sheik, so had some martial ability, trained from Impa and stuff. Speaking of, Wind Waker Zelda, Tetra was, a pirate captain first. Got a little jobbed out by putting on the iconic dress, but it's probably hard to pirate in that dress. It's very long. And Twilight Princess's Zelda is almost a non-character, though she is still very important because of some stuff she does for you.
Hey, I think she's still the only Zelda that was a boss fight.
I mean, true facts. Though, listen, I don't know anything about Tears, but there's definitely some fake-ass Zeldas running around. There's a lot of conflicting rumors about the princess doing this and that, some of which are helpful, some of which are actively harmful, and some of which are just people being stupid idiots. Those dumb guys who all got in their underwear because they misheard a princess message. But, like, there's some shenanigans going on.
Oh, we're at the silver area. We're at the silver area. Run away!
Flee!
All right.
Escape. This is another thing I'll say. Enemies are too fast in this game.
Yeah.
I know you can make yourself go faster, but the fact that if you considering it is a limited resource, if you deadass run away from enemies, almost all of them can keep pace with you.
Oh yeah, no,
it
just
sucks.
look at them just human after me.
Obviously, there are solutions. You know, you can bomb them with puff shrooms or dazzle fruit to break contact, but you can literally flashbang them. It's very funny, but I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, okay, Nintendo, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to run away from tough conflicts and, like, reevaluate and strategize? Or do you want me to tough it out? Or is this, like, true roguelike experience? Do you expect me to just, you know, heckin' die and reset? Getting a game over is not actually really problematic in this game. You would actually usually get your resources back because, you know, you go back to an earlier autosave. But it's still, like, I'm not quite sure what the design intent is for some of these things, you know? Muddle shrooms are also really heckin' good. Like, again, they added so much. There's so many extra special effects on, like, clothes and on things you can throw. They've basically added a whole new element. I don't think you could do water stuff, like with Splash Fruit and Opals in the first game. I think that was just Fire, Lightning, Ice, right? So, like, that's cool. Also, some stuff is cheaties. I'm also very shocked you only lost one heart, one Gloom Heart there.
Yeah, well, like I said, I am rocking level 3 Hylian stuff, so my defense is 36.
That is pretty good, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Why did they give it the weird anglerfish thing? It's dumb. I don't like it. I'm upset. Because usually, bigger horns are cooler. Well, I guess Moblin horns are kind of goofy, but, you know, they're mostly for hammers. Bokoblin horns and Boss Bokoblin, you know, horns, which are like axe blades, are neat. I think every Lizalfos horn is good. Like, all of them are curved like blades.
Oh, yeah, no,
The
I
blue
like
ones
putting
are
the blue
basically
one
katana
on the
blades.
fucking eightfold blades.
Yeah. You know, the black ones are like scimitars. You can also get them in elemental, which is cool. Like I said, there's some stuff's neato. And I like the stuff that's like subtle. Like some like big world bosses will drop stuff that you can't carry but can still fuse. Like I have a lot of fun fusing luminous Talos hearts to stuff. Because that you can turn those into shields which glow, or you can use that into a hammer. It's very neat.
I'm just gonna let them keep whittling each other down.
Yeah, you just let them fight. I haven't gotten to any fiery, you know, molten Taloses yet. Will those guys drop fiery hearts? That's gonna be pretty cool. Like I said, I think the game is possibly better for having fuse. It just doesn't actually fix the issues. It's just sometimes funnier and sometimes worse.
Bonk.
But yeah, there's you know, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Is that a fucking scythe horn? Yo, let's go!
Oh, is that a silver Lizalfos? Shit, I haven't seen that yet. Damn, he's got a sick-looking horn. You're right. And he's gonna turn into a scythe. Oh, that does remind me, though, of a thing that is annoying. Stall Lizalfos can still spit water. How? I know it's part of their, like, programming AI loop, but also, how, game? They are bones.
Oh, that was a big hit.
Yeah, that's a big clunker. There's the slaps. Yeah, give him the... Take those weapons away. Give him the slaps. Give him the flurry blows. But yeah, what I was going to say earlier was, so Zelda's a reincarnation.
Yeah, no,
Ganon is hypothetically a reincarnation. Sometimes he's the same guy and he just lives forever.
Yo,
Link.
look at this.
Oh, I'm waiting. I'm still on the tail. Ooh. That is nice. There's some scaling. It's neat. But yeah, so like I said, the hero Link is a reincarnation, but it's not the same. Like Link doesn't get any special powers for being a Link, you know? It just seems like typically, and again, I don't actually know about this is an open-ended theory for me that I've been yelling about on our Discord. The general vibe I'm getting is that if you got a number one for sure, if you got a big G, you're gonna get a Z. There's no guarantee if you've got a G, you're gonna get an L. It is not guaranteed that a Link will appear when there is a Ganon. If you have a Zelda, for sure you will get a Link. And I think that makes sense. Whether that's like the goddess puts a Link on the board if there is a Zelda, or just naturally when you've got a Zelda, a Link shows up. I don't know. But it's Zelda specifically seems to be a reincarnation in her bloodline. Links just show up, right? Like they can be from anywhere. The Breath of the Wild's Link is from Hateno Village originally. Is it Kakariko you're from in Twilight Princess?
I believe so. Yeah, because you're a farm boy.
Yeah, you're a horse boy. Classic.
Yeet.
And obviously you're from, a specific island in Wind Waker. The Ocarina of Time Link was, orphaned and lived among the Kokiri. All kinds of stuff like that. Link from the Past Link just lives with his uncle just outside of town. All kinds of steez like that. And obviously these different Links have like different backgrounds. Like the Breath of the Wild Link is super competent. They immediately figure out that he's the chosen hero because he is the greatest swordsman in Hyrule at the time period. And so they're immediately like, let's see. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, really good at a sword. Shit, I think this might be the legendary hero. Yes, eats anything. Woke up covered in bitches. Shit, he's the legendary hero. Get him a Master Sword.
He really did wake up covered in bitches.
Listen, it's the one thing Nintendo they can't break. You can't break Breath of the Wild Link's swag. It does not turn off or ever run out of energy. I also find it funny, this is another thing I talked about. I feel like as the epochs go on, Fi gets less and less choosy. Like in older games, getting the Master Sword is like a whole thing. Like the front half of A Link to the Past is Sir Hashasa tells you need to get 3 pendants to prove you're worthy of the Master Sword. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, by the time we get to like Breath, it's just like Fi's basically just like, listen, if he's strong enough, he's strong enough. If he's not strong enough, I'll kill him and I'll get a new one.
Fi playing that gotcha.
Yeah, like it's just like there's the selection process gets different.
They're glowing.
Oh, what do we got? Let's take an eyeball. What does he see? Pulsing rocks? It looks like those pulsing rocks you had before, but what are those? That's not a Talas. Weird.
I'm gonna avoid these.
There's definitely some oddball weird shit in that Glumo. Oh no, I know what those are. What the fuck are those doing down here? Where are you?
I'm not that far from the Kakariko Village one. Well, actually, I am a little far from the Kakariko Village one. But yeah, no, like I am.
Do you want me to tell you what those are?
Yeah, sure.
It's not a spoiler. Those are Gyptos hives. I don't know what they're doing under Kakariko.
Let's definitely not go that way.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because that's Gyptos react to certain elemental weaknesses, so that's going to be pretty resource intense. But yeah, that's weird. I mean, I guess that's kind of funny because you're getting towards under Lanayru. Which again, I love to bring up the fact that in the Skyward Sword timeline, Lanayru is a giant desert and a sand sea that used to be like a water sea, and then it turns back into a water sea later because usually Zora's domain's in the neighborhood.
I went
It's
too
very
far.
funny.
I was thinking about stuff and I went too far.
It happens. This is another thing that like, okay, I love the fusion material and all that stuff you can do. You really need to break this menu out, Nintendo. Like, I get that some fruits are also turnable into arrows and stuff like that, but like, make it a thing I can switch through. The fact that it's just one giant line, even if you can actually sort it, is just, it's a pain in the butt sometimes.
I feel like there should have been like like one specifically for like particular effects, like explosive, you know, fire.
Oh yeah, that'd
lightning.
be great because you can food only sorts by effect, so it'd be great if you could sort materials by effect. Being able to favorite would also be really useful.
Well,
There is a most used,
yeah.
which is helpful, but it's not.
I don't like going like keep switching because I usually like my things sorted. So like
Yeah,
if I,
I like
have to do
just the
this, I have to
sort
hit
by
Y,
type.
then I have to hit Y again. Oops. Like you can see, I use bombs the most. Big surprise there.
Yeah, no.
I'm just looking at what I got going on here now.
Fairy's very popular. Keese eyes, pretty shrunk.
But yeah, no, just look at all this shit that I have to scroll through.
Yeah, there's it. The menus are very clunky. Not just the sorting through stuff, but also and materials, but also like using the power wheel is. I feel like the wheel is worse than just the scroll bar that the original Sheikah Slate had. Because sometimes I'll be like trying to go down a fuse, and then my analog stick is just slightly off, so I end up touching auto build, and I'm like, no, I don't want to auto build. I'm trying to fix my weapons.
You know what? I think I've done some good depths exploration. I'm gonna head on up and go.
But yeah, like every Link is different. The main thing is just that if you get a Link, because he is the chosen of the Triforce of Courage, he has courage. Whether or not he's like a 12-year-old kid, again, Link to the Past, you were like a literal teenager, preteen, living with your uncle, and and you hear psychic messages from the princess.
I always
Like,
thought it's more it's courage, but it's also a sense of loyalty and duty. Like,
well, this is a thing that was brought up. Legendary brought this up in chat. It's not. Sometimes it's a reincarnation romance, but sometimes it's not. Like,
no.
So I don't know if it's necessarily like always. Obviously, for Breath's Link, he is Zelda's chosen knight. He is a champion. Like all that stuff. Like once he's got his memories back anyway, this motherfucker oozes duty. He knows what he's up against.
This way.
Though I guess you could, I don't know, with not necessarily to Zelda, but you could also argue that the Twilight Princess Link has a lot of loyalty as well, because even though Midna, other name, is just hella gremlin to you, you still stick with her through a lot. Even
Listen,
probably when you shouldn't
I
have.
won't lie. Midna is still my fucking Legend of Zelda princess.
She's pretty cool, and it's a terrible shame we've never heard anything out of the Twilight Realm ever again. Even though there's a lot of, again, I talk about there's like a triplicate here. You know, you've got the Triforce, the literal triangle, but also like we know for a fact there's the Light Realm, which becomes a Dark Realm when the Sacred Power is corrupted. We also have a Twilight Realm, and that's never come back except when it does. Like me, Skyward Sword. Like there's, and obviously, you know, this game has a literal tri-worlds theory. You have an overworld, a world, and an underworld, you know? And the underworld is filled with the souls of the dead.
More
But also just
battery.
lots of ruins and stuff. Yeah, energy wells. Well, yeah, she is the Twilight Princess. I mean, we were talking about that earlier. Like, she's
love
arguably
that
the main
that's
character of
actual
that
visual.
story.
You can just like boop, another battery.
Would you? Well, and it clearly lets you know what the cap is.
Yep.
No, I believe you have to make energy wells. I have not found any of them doing anything. I mean, they might, because you can get heart containers and stamina vessels from doing some stuff.
I've only found one, but you can find an item that'll just give you 100 of the charges, which is just a free segment.
Yes, they can give you just the currency enough to buy one, but I don't know if you can just find an energy well loosey goosey in the wild. But again, if you
Lucky doing his dragon.
where
check.
Lucky is standing right now is at the hub
well,
world.
No. God damn it. Okay.
No, it's back.
I'm gonna go sleep this off at home. Fuck this shit. Where's my house?
To the Terrytown Shrine.
That's a 10-0. That's dumb. It's up here. This is what I'm talking about. I constantly get lost. I'm like, here's my house.
I mean, you can also go to Hateno Village. Again, I would like to point out no, you notice how the battery is divided into 3 sections. So you can, if you only have 100, you can buy just one section.
Yeah.
But if you got 300, you get all 3 sections, which constitutes a full battery. It's a weirdly segmented effect.
Yeah, no, like trust me, I could have gone and done one at a time, but I like doing it in 3s because I like the idea of a full battery. Wait, can I do this?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
There's your house.
I'm working on it. Hey, welcome to the Hyrule Cribs. I'm Link. This is my place.
Oh, so yeah, you got the stairwell. Well, it's modular, literally.
Oh, no, sleep till morning. Fuck this shit.
You've got your kitchen house. Which, by the way, people do a lot of theory crafting on this. Speaking of Hateno Village, so it is canonical. If you go back to Hateno, if you go back to the house that Link purchased in Breath of the Wild, Zelda lives there now.
So terrible.
Like, you find her diary and notes there. You find some stuff there. But also, I would like to point out, there's still the table setting for 2. And I believe somebody has actually, like, gone into every house in Hateno Village and counted how the way the table settings work. The table settings corresponds to the number of people there. If you find only 1 bed, that's usually for a married couple. But in the Hateno Village house, you find Zelda's, like, diaries and notes and stuff. So you've got, you know, your sleep setting. You can actually sleep in that bed as Link, which is not a thing you can do in any old open bed. But also, the stable has space for 2. And if you find Zelda's secret hidey hole study, she keeps your extra hair tie there, which I cannot imagine is a normal thing you would do. Also, in her diary, Zelda talks about how while she's reconstructing Hyrule, Link hasn't left her side at all, so much so that his clothes are all falling apart. And this actually serves as like an explanation for like why some of your old gear is gone. For instance, you may be wondering, Lucky, because you haven't done Zora's Domain yet. Hey, what happened to my Zora armor? Canonically, you broke it. Link used it so much it wore out and is in need of repairs. Some parts of it, I think, are actually permanently broken, and you have to find new copies of.
Well, as long as the chess pieces are right, because that's the one.
Yes, the chess piece is the piece that is fine. It's
okay,
it's
good. Better be.
when you actually get there, it's undergoing repairs. But like that's just to show you how much this boy is hard working. He's out here working hard. So like I personally subscribe to the theory that in the time gap, Link and Zelda live together, and they may. There's only 1 bed. Interpret as you will. Keeping in mind, I also like to point out, I don't think at any point does Link require after how many blood moons you spent camping in Breath of the Wild, I do not think Link requires a house.
No. I think we were talking about this law on Discord. Like, we're not even sure that Link requires sleep. If he wants to, he can just stand in the fucking at the front yard, you know, just hands on his pommel, just staring into the night.
I mean, yeah, no, the game never requires you to sleep. Listen, he got 100 years of free sleep in the Shrine of Resurrection. He's good. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff like that. The major like thing that some people get in this theory of like Zelda took over your house and kicked you out or something, which I've heard some people phrase it that way on the internet.
I don't think so.
Nobody in Hateno Village recognizes you. This is weird. I think some of that's supposed to just be the fact that there's a time skip-a-rooney. involved. And obviously some of them wouldn't recognize you because like Cece, the fashionista who runs a new clothes shop in the town, she was out traveling and very recently came back to the town, so she might not recognize you. The main thing is that I would say is it's kind of interesting none of the kids recognize you because Zelda canonically opened up a school and all know who she is.
Well,
But,
some
you know,
people
children
know,
are weird,
some
so...
people don't, so it's always a little weird.
Yeah. And obviously, like, Robbie still recognizes you and, you know, used to live in that lab up there. One of his... actually, no, it's Purra's assistant runs the school now with Zelda, so, like, he recognizes you. Personally, I'm just going to chalk it up to nobody recognizes Link because he's unrecognizable at this stage. Like, listen, you lost your ponytail, you lost your sword that seals the darkness, and you lost your princess. I'm guessing people just don't recognize you.
Oh, I think it's also one of those things of it's all like, Link has been stated to be actually very stoic and silent. He doesn't actually talk a lot to people.
Mm-hmm.
He's usually in tow with Princess, so he's probably always overshadowed by Princess Zelda. So probably people don't really think of him. Just think as if, you know, he's out in the public. It's like that's the princess's bodyguard.
Yeah,
you know, because
go ahead.
Because it's been stated that Link is a beautiful fucking boy. He cannot keep the bitches off of him when he's by himself.
This is true. I literally have that encounter in Hateno. There's one girl standing there who's like, "Ugh, who's this freak? Oh no, he's hot." Like, she gets a good look at you, and she's just like, "Yeah."
And like previously, like, and you have to imagine, like, even after the events of like Breath of the Wild, people don't really know that it's, you know, legendary hero Link going around looking for Princess Zelda. It's some dude, you know, wearing a perhaps odd collection of clothing. We don't know. Running around just doing shit. Like, very few people actually know that you're on a quest to save the goddamn world. You're just a traveler.
Well, and also Aaron just pointed this out in chat. Usually when people know about Link, they know about him as the legendary swordsman. This was another thing I pointed out. You don't have your legendary sword when you start the game anymore. So that may also be a factor that people just don't recognize you. Also, again,
there's just a random fish in here. Who are you?
Yeah, they said it came stocked with carp, I think. Yeah, you got some koi or some carp.
Sankey carp. Cool. Let's take a picture of you.
But yeah, no. Like, it's Link at least would have had to have changed clothes slightly because his original champion tunic fell apart, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I do think that Link does spend some time traveling to other places, because it's interesting, right? You go to Rito Village, everybody knows that guy. Like, everybody is like, "Oh, hey, Link, what's up? What's up, homie?" It's very funny considering your relationship with the Rito champion 100 years ago. But, yeah, no, Rito Village, they love you there. And everybody recognizes you. I suspect that your record at the archery range still stands.
Nope, you are still dead. Okay.
Oof. Yeah, it's you can't stock your own fish, and I don't think you can actually grow anything in your flower bed. It just looks cool. If you can grow stuff in your flower bed, fucking let me know.
Yeah, no, this doesn't look.
I think it's just artistic.
It is artistic, but I wasn't. Well, I don't consider these ways, but I think I'm gonna redesign this.
Yeah, you can wiggle some stuff. I mean, it's modular. That's what it's there for. This is what I brought out when I discovered this and did the Terrytown side quest. I was like, oh no, some people are gonna go ape when they figure out the new housing. Because it's completely modular. And there's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
Oh, shit,
you can buy your own goddess statue room, so you can just put a goddess statue in your own house.
Yeah, no, I've done that.
If you need it. It's great. You can do a picture room where you can put up 2 pictures from your Purapad.
I wanted to rotate this once because...
But yeah, no.
The stove is in the way.
But yeah, so like, I understand that people don't always get you in, but it's a little weird that like, basically nobody in Hateno gets you, but they're all busy with their own stuff, so I could see it. You know, you don't talk a lot, and I do get the impression that Link does travel places. It is mentioned when you do go to Gerudo Town that while you are not recognized completely on site. Mostly probably because most of the Gerudo, like a decent number of the Gerudo, have never seen a Vo in their entire life. I have heard some people on the internet, talking and maybe even kind of complaining a little that when you run into Gerudo out in the wilds of Hyrule, they are almost always looking for a Vo.
Mm-hmm.
That said, that is kind of the whole point of their culture. Like, they don't have any males naturally. They have to, go out and hunt for a husband to continue their culture. Otherwise, they will go extinct. And the Gerudo who don't want to do that don't leave Gerudo Town. I believe you can actually find some ladies who haven't ever left. But, like, again, they don't recognize you by sight, but you are actually officially the one Vo allowed in Gerudo Town now, because they recognize you as the associate of Princess Zelda and Chief Riju's close friend, which, of course, naturally, some of the other Gerudo interpret as her special friend. Anyway, I don't know about that.
I don't know, Link. Just take them all. Take them all.
I'm gonna need a bigger house.
I am gonna need a bigger house. How many bitches do I got? Shit.
But, like, again, Riju for sure is just like, oh, it's my close personal friend, Link.
Hello.
Where's my other close personal friend, Princess Zelda? And of course, Zora's Domain is so great. It's kind of like, nah, I won't. I won't ruin the experience for you who haven't gotten there. But as you would expect, considering the the Zora have very long lives, and most of them are still alive. No, actually, Zelda still. Honestly, Zelda doesn't style herself as the princess very much. When she is styled with title, she is still styled as the princess. I assume it's because even before it gets floated into the sky, we're still in the process of like overhauling Hyrule Castle. I don't think she's like undertaken any official capacity to be like coronated as queen, right? She is still the last member of the royal family, but by her own efforts, she's not ruling anything like properly yet.
Oh, that's right.
I'm gonna stop Audacity again because it's still being weird.
Alrighty. Okay, that's done. Now what's on my fucking giant list of shit to do?
I'm still not losing audio. It's just Audacity's just being laggy. Okay, I'll start it up again. And I haven't done the Goron domain, but I'm sure it'll be something similar. And obviously, like I said, when you go to Lookout Landing, like all of those guys are like, "Oh, hey, Link, it's you. We're so glad to see you." But yeah, like I said, I think Zelda could call herself queen if she wanted. She just does not feel like it.
Well, she's never been, like, if I understand this Breath of the Wild, she's never really been about being a royalty. She's just more been about doing that science and archaeology. Like,
yeah. Like, she has taken it upon herself to start the reconstruction of Hyrule, and, she's done some official stuff. You will find, like, roadside memorials in certain places with the little Silent Princess flower on it that are dedicated by, by quote-unquote Princess Zelda, and they say, to honor those who died in the Calamity kind of a thing, right? Like, there's some official capacity stuff, but she is not in a position, nor does she currently have a desire to rule all of Hyrule. That said, this brings me back to a point I brought up earlier, and I think is my last, like, other than just yelling at stuff as it comes out, my last, like, story thought I got rolling around is talking about, like, the sages and the history and the setup, the time loops and stuff. Talking about how everything is a cycle. It seems like our squad, the sages, lost the imprisoning war because they did not have a legendary hero and a sword that seals the darkness, right? They did not organically arrive at the natural solution to the big G problem, so we had to bottle him up. How exactly that works out, right? I don't know. Like, it may just be because of the time loop stuff we've got going on, or there may be a greater emphasis in there, or something. But we'll continue to solve problems as they come. The main thing that I think is really interesting is, so, you know, there's some buildup and stuff, and there's a memory and so on. The sages swear their loyalty to Rauru, King of Light, right? He's the king of Hyrule. And so on and so forth. But after all the sealing stuff happens, you see this in your first flashback to the Wind Temple. Zelda goes to all the sages and tells them that a legendary swordsman, you know, will need their help in the future, so they need to secure, you know, the destiny of their people, which I think kind of explains a decent amount of certain cultural stuff about the different cultures. For instance, I think this explains why the Gerudo in Breath and Tears are kind of the way they are, because they, you know, they've forgotten why exactly they do stuff, but they feel like they kind of have a little bit of setup to build up, and might explain why it seems like the chieftainess of the Gerudo has such a close relationship with their royal family. You know, Urbosa was good friends with Zelda's mom and with Zelda. See, Riju as well is out there. Also, I believe it is explicitly stated in some of the background material they added for later DLC and stuff that they do in fact point out that Riju is Urbosa's descendant. They are blood relatives. I think the only quote unquote new champion who's not related to anybody is Teba and thus Tulin are not related to Rivali at all.
Sorry, I was just thinking Rivali's too much of a jerk ass to fuck.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, nope, it's extra cool.
So, you know, there's that line going on. But the thing I find really interesting right now is talking about like thematic parallels and like stuff rhyming is the character that in our like Imprisoning War V2, the new Calamity that Link echoes is Rauru, which is really interesting because he's, you know, the king of Hyrule. Literally, Rauru gives you his hand. Right, that's where Link gets his new arm. You touched the dehydrated Ganondorf, and it was too dehydrated, so we had to replace your old arm with you get a new Dragon Man hand, complete with pimp rings. And so, like, you get all
I did that perfectly.
Nice. Whoop. Stop.
Well, that's what I meant by perfectly. I hit the button right before I hit the ground.
Yeah, real fun.
I like doing shit like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. But yeah, so like, and like I said, that's really interesting to me.
I don't have the right one.
Because I like thematically what that means, right? Because there's a lot of talk about like the king's duty, what the king does for Hyrule. And so I'm like, are we setting up for like Link to become the king? I would not be shocked about that. I mean, everybody who knows who you are generally likes you because you are a hero and you do go out of your way to do heroic things. Like, you know, I don't think anybody directly asks you to actually bail out Lurelin Village, but that is a thing that I presume canonically Link will be doing, and you should do in general at some point, everybody. Though then you have to go rebuild it. But you should go do that because, you know, your main man is down there. Your boy Bolson.
Oh, that's where he is.
Yeah, he's vacationing in Lurelin when they got attacked by pirates. And after you defeat the pirates, you can help him out by rebuilding. That one's awkward. I haven't done that one yet because he needs logs for that. Not wood, logs. So I'm like, I haven't stopped to like figure out where the nearest stand of trees and cart materials is and like send a truckload down to him.
Oh, that's probably where the resource transportation is. You got to hook up a wagon full of logs and just drive it over there.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what it is. It's just like I said, I haven't been scouting for like where the closest place I can like build a cart and stack logs is. I also got to be careful about horse selection. I caught the giant white stallion, for instance. And he's very interesting because while that boy has infinite stamina, you cannot fit him with a bridle, saddle, or a towing hitch. He's too large.
Maximum large.
I named my giant white stallion Chaticus.
I named mine Ajax. I'm a little upset because they did a very nifty thing for Breath of the Wild. If you have, for Tears of the Kingdom, if you have Breath of the Wild data, it'll actually bring over your horses. But sometimes it'll fuck up and not bring over all your horses. Like I didn't get my royal steed.
Yeah, I don't know if it kept this, if it's just they skipped the special horses or just it's weird. I only had one horse. His name was Horse. I'm glad we got him. I have some other horses now, though. I think I told the story in Discord, but I have 4 total horses boarded. I have Horse, who's my original horse. I recruited Horkoblin because I rescued him from Bokoblins. He was just pulling a cart, and I bailed him out. There's Chaticus, the giant white stallion, and then I named the special golden horse Cryosaur after the golden man, brother of Pegasus.
I named mine Carrot, like Go Carrot, but spelled like of the food carrot.
Oh, it's neat. That's a pun. That's adorable. Also, carrots are important. Though I do kind of like what they respect Melania the horse god a little. If you don't know, chat, first of all, you have to feed him a Endura carrot. But after you do that, he will trade you full meals for upgrades with specific meals upgrading specific horse stats.
Oh, is this another ring challenge?
Yeah, I balls this one up. I think you have to shield slide to do it.
Oh, they give you one. Here we go. A shield sled. This is about to die anyway.
But yeah, you basically ride through that first one, land on the ground, and then there's a bunch on the ground to do. And I know this because I balls it up the first time.
I wish this wasn't such. It's just.
Yeah, control scheme is just a little too tedious still. It's a pain.
Woo!
Whee!
Wait! Dragon! Abort!
Shit, I need my dragon stuff.
If someone hasn't done this part and someone just doing the fucking Sonic, Adventure 2 opening, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
Oh,
Yeah,
I gotta
so you
hope
just
so.
land on the back here.
Oh yeah, right at the tail.
And
Hey, buddy.
Hang on 1 second though. I am fucking freezing.
AM or PM right now.
I need a claw, but I'll pick that up at the end here. What's great about this is that it always has updraft, so even if you fall off, it's easy enough to get back on. You can just be like, wee.
Yeah, it's just the main part is timing it out so that you are above the dragon. It is not hard to do because, well, like I said, I haven't been on the back of this dragon. I have been on other dragons. How I got my Nature's Claw for this was just I happened to be in Hateno Village at the tech lab to do some stuff for Robbie, and it was like dawn, and I just saw a dragon go by, so I jumped off the cliff and slow down some time. Oh, and you can just pick up the shards. Okay, you don't even have to break them off.
Yeah, no.
You
That's
do have
why
to hit the body to break off
one
scales.
dragon item, but you can always pick up shards.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one I use these for my elemental weapons, I guess. I was hoping they would let me shoot spikes like a gem once, because I really don't want to fucking use my gems on disposable weaponry.
You need those for money.
But like I said, they're pretty good for just smacking with.
Well, except for diamonds. I'm hoarding diamonds because that's how you get all the iconic species weapons.
Oh, really? Iconic
Yes,
species?
you'll find somebody in every village after you complete the temple quest who will give you a quest, and basically they all need like 3 diamonds, a base weapon, and then some other material. But like that's how you get the Great Eagle Bow. That's how you can get the the Blade of the Seven, the Light Scale Trident, etc.
He. Who were you once upon a time?
I don't actually. There's some new dragon lore in Tears, but also there's a lot of dragons in general in these game series.
I love your
And I think
eyelashes.
there's already a Nehru themed dragon, like all the way back in Skyward Sword.
All right.
Because there are 3 dragons in Skyward Sword, everybody.
No, that was supposed to be not the... That was a scale I missed, son of a bitch.
Ah, yeah, hitboxing.
I thought I got
Well,
the
you still will
clone.
probably need that for something.
Yeah. Alright, where was I going? Oh, yeah, well, it doesn't fucking matter because I didn't get the claw needed. And I don't think I activated the...
Well, yeah, there is that Goron in Terrytown who can actually defuse your stuff without breaking it, but still.
That is,
One, I think he
means
charges
you have
money,
to
but
go to
also...
fucking Terrytown.
I would much rather just directly deposit the gems in somebody else's pocket.
Yeah.
Like,
you guys are talking about this stuff, you guys get way too technical and add way too many steps to playing the fucking game.
Like, I hoarded some opals because that helps out with the Zora's Realm, and that doesn't really matter that much because opals are the least price anyway.
Mm.
But yeah, no, like rubies, topazes, and sapphires for the time being are just direct deposit because I need money. Listen, these great fairies do not charge you chump change. They may start you out with a tenner, but like when you go to level 3, that's like what, 200?
Yeah.
I don't know what level 4 is. I'm assuming it's at least 500, if not like 1K, but it's gonna be a lot. Obviously, sometimes you also want to hoard them for materials to buy clothing upgrades and stuff as well.
So that one, okay. Actually, I need to go check in on my fucking clothing situation. Where it's usually, I think this one's the fastest to get to.
There's a lot of really interesting stuff. There's like a whole series of those weird lotus things are like sky tablets that you can't read but got to take a picture of and show to a guy in Kakariko.
Yeah, I wish I knew that was the, well, I guess it doesn't make sense, but I've run into a lot of them like, hey, what's this? I found one that I stepped on it and the whole thing just fucking fell. I was like...
Yep, I had that one too. That was a little awkward. That's okay. I just took a picture of it on the ground.
Yeah, I gotta go find it again because I didn't know that's what I had to do.
Well, luckily it'll be easy to follow because you'll find the one and be like, oh, there's a hole in this one. Well. Oh, there's a spectacle rock up there.
Yep.
And we're not even getting into stuff. Like, I see him. I see Gleeox chilling. I haven't fought one of those guys yet.
I tried fighting one. I lost.
Yeah, that was what I was afraid of. Did you get caught by the what's his face, the one that's guarding the golden horse?
Yes.
Yeah. When that happened, I just left. I was like, why? Yeah, no. And I'm sure they drop good mats, but like, this is not something I want to be futzing with. But yeah, like I said earlier, I find it really interesting that our thematic peril is to Rauru, the King of Hyrule, and like getting the loyalty of all the sages and stuff.
Oh, that's right. I need
Not
to
that they
do
mind that.
Hinoxes.
They like you.
That's why I'm having a moment. All right, well, I know where one is.
Oh, what is that? What is that? Oh, that blue one you can upgrade?
Oh.
It's above the Fierce Deity mask.
Oh, this is the frostbite shirt. It gives me the cold weather attack.
Ah, okay, that's what
yeah,
that
no,
is.
like it's like the if you started the Fierce Deity quest, you should have got the Ember trousers, which give you the hot weather attack.
Yeah, I got the trousers. Okay, the frostbite shirt. I think that's the one the internet is meanie about. The Gerudo Vi outfit is no longer in the games. People have to find something new to be funny about.
Yeah, no, if you look at it, it's very...
It's slinky.
It
It's
is
also
very slinky.
backless.
Yeah. Listen, Nintendo, there's no way Nintendo cannot know how much people love cross-dressed Link. Just impossible. Impossible.
Oh, listen, the modelers had some great fun. Like, if you put on the frog suit, you know, that's also very, very, very slimming. Very body-lined.
Wait, where was I going? Oh, yeah, I was going to go beat up the one Hinox that I know of.
Ooh, okay, so the Gleeok parts result in weapons that are like the old Frostblade, etc. That's neat. I'm sure I'll get to them. Like I said, I got like 18 hearts. I just need to do some serious grinding ass for my gear. Like, I've got a full like Royal Guard costume, which I like the look of. The helmet of the soldier armor is still very derpy. It's always been kind of derpy, to me anyway. But That's where I've got the most upgrades. That's all level 3, so... Or no, it's level 2, but that's still a lot of defense. It's my Hylian set I'm working on level 3s for. Because I do like the look of the Hylian set. It's good. And I'd really like to get my Sheikah armor up there as well, so that I can...
Oi!
If caught, I don't die instantly. Because, well, the game does want you to hot swap. That still, sometimes you don't hot swap fast enough. Enemies are pretty accurate with ranged attacks. But yeah, I'm sure at some point, I don't know if it'll be next week, but at some point we'll have like a full like big boy plotty do episode about tiers. Just because, like I said, I feel like there's so much stuff I want to talk about, but I don't want to mention yet because like I know people are not as far as me in the game. I think I talked about this. I had a little bit of like I had a bit of agita earlier in the week when I felt like, oh man, everybody's so far ahead of me, but not really. It's just like because this game is so non-linear, you get all kinds of weird experiences. Like some people just, I think, happen to like stumble into the Master Sword early, and happen to have enough stamina to get it, or stuff like that. Or some people manage to, get into all the geoglyphs and stuff. But I know some people who haven't done like any temples besides the first one.
That's me.
And I know other people who seem farther. Some people got a lot easier in on the depths and auto build. Like it took me a little bit to figure that one out. I was a dumbass and didn't realize she meant exactly the Mole Man statue to look through, because I got lost following like Zora statues and stuff, not realizing it was exactly that one. Because I got ahead of the game. I found other statues and I didn't realize that the game hadn't told me there were more than one kind of statue yet.
Give me your shit.
Yep. Die.
Yeah, the Fierce Deity set acts like almost like a barbarian set, so it just gives you straight up attack up. So it's just like, let's go.
Yeah, there's a couple of redundant ones. Oh, maybe I'll run down that quest after this. I'm not ready to go to Eldin yet. Because I'm gonna need to buy my full Desert Voe set. That's right. I mean, that won't protect you completely, but I think Death Mountain isn't quite as hot, but it'll still be pretty hot.
I mean, just if you can probably get the Flamebreaker set in there, so just stock up on the chill elixirs.
It's true. I can also do that. I do need to cook.
I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna be in this game, but like.
Well, it in the original Death Mountain was so hot that your desert resistant gear didn't work. I don't know though, because this one seems to be different. But yeah, like I said, at some point we'll have a big boy, discussion, but we're not there yet because the game's all over the place. So I do got a couple of other things to scratch off my list. Yeah. One, I put it in the thumbnail, but shocking nobody. It turns out Overwatch 2 sucks. Well, Blizzard sucks. I don't actually know. I haven't played Overwatch 2 at all. But the reason why, at least the reason that Blizzard told you why you would want to switch to Overwatch 2, keeping in mind they announced Overwatch 2 and its features at the height of, oh, Blizzard actually sucks kind of a situation. Right when those accusations and stuff about how just awful their workplace were first breaking. Yeah, it turns out that was a hasty announcement that was overshot and overpromised. And the main thing they tried to market it on, actual PvE story content, isn't coming. They were apparently working on it for several years, and it did not come together. I don't know how they didn't manage to balance a single-player like talent tree co-op experience, but they couldn't do it. And I think this basically solidifies that I don't think I will ever play an Overwatch again at this stage. I never did the jump to 2 when they closed all the 1 servers, because like I still am kind of mistrustful that like Blizzard is worth giving your time and attention on, considering like how I don't know if things have actually changed that much. And also just in general, I know a lot of people celebrated the like diversity of cast and stuff of Overwatch, and they still did a decent effort, but it seems so transparently clear now that like they use these little PR victories to cover their ass, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it all this like diversity, pride, etc. stuff is just marketing, and it's kind of weak sauce. It's a little disappointing. Oh yeah, no, there's no PvE, and that's what they're doing. It's
Wait, no.
I literally I don't know if there is a reason to do the Overwatch 2s. Other than it's technically free to play now. But sorry, getting a little stodgy, getting a little groggy. I have family over this weekend. We got a boatload of nieces and nephews in the house. So on the one hand, that means meals are good. Had some big slices of big pepperoni pizza, but that means I had some big slices of greasy pizza.
Yeah, no, my stomach ain't gonna be. My stomach can't handle that anymore. Doesn't mean I'm still not gonna do it, but
no, you got to be careful. That's why I only ate 2 and a breadstick. And even now, I'm feeling a little degooped.
I think this is probably my favorite place to go mining right now. It's this tunnel that goes like from here all the way to like here, and it's just filled with ores and bright seeds and some mobs. So it's a good place to go mining.
Yeah, what is that? Walnut Mountain? Yeah. Oh, and there's a shrine right outside. Yeah, that's good.
I think that's why they put it there, honestly.
Yeah, probably. Oh yeah, no, I definitely remember this one. This is a neat place. But yeah, on the other hand, for possible positive news for Activision Blizzard, the EU did actually approve the Microsoft acquisition. That said, their regulatory board is very strict, and so they have put certain restrictions on approving the acquisition. Namely, they have called out specifically that they will only approve it if Microsoft makes sure not to formulate this new like cloud gaming plateau, which was where the UK regulators a couple weeks, technically last month, I think, were concerned about and blocked the acquisition. The EU basically said, okay, you can do this, but if whatever your cloud gaming service looks like, you can't lock. I may just have been specifically Blizzard Activision games, but also may have been just your game, their Xbox's games in general, out of possible competing cloud markets. Obviously, I think that means that if the merger still goes through, I don't know exactly if it'll go, you probably won't see like disked or storefront versions of future Activision Blizzard games on PlayStation, barring if they do actually get to deals for like Call of Duty or whatever. But hypothetically, whatever Sony or Nintendo or Steam's like cloud side gaming looks like, you could still see those games.
Oh, they got all knocked down there. That's where they are. Okay.
The EU does have this regulatory commission does have the ability to enforce this. This is the same regulatory board that forced Apple to switch to from Thunderbolt cables to USB-C or pay a lot of money, and Apple caved. So like they've got the juice. So I'm interested to see where that goes. In general, I really don't know what to think of any like Xbox acquisitions anymore, because on the one hand, like they've been pushing in the direction of making things console exclusive to Xbox, but also I've talked about this before. There's kind of this like disingenuous argument that they don't need to go exclusive, which I guess means they just go exclusive for shits and giggles. So we'll see. But I've never been super invested in Blizzard Activision games. Like lots of people are freaking incandescent about Diablo 4. Never been a big Diablo guy. So like if that's your passion, okay, but you know, I'm gonna be content giving it probably a pass. Look for other, you know, weird isometric, you know, looty crawler games to go through. And obviously, it seems like Overwatch 2 is kind of a net loss. I already have one award RPG in my life, so I don't care about WoW. Occasionally, I will see videos and stuff that make me feel like I want to play like Modern Warfare, the second Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 2. Hellish naming scheme. I don't know how you got away with that, but while COD is cool and I like those games, I also feel like there's still like so many of them to pick from, right?
Oh yeah.
Like there's other ways I can scratch that FPS itch. So it's interesting. We'll have to see how it stays shaken out. Obviously the UK is still blocking it. I think the US is still in the process of like examining this. So we'll see how it shakes out. Let's see what else we got in my game list. Well, let me scratch Tears of the Kingdom off there. I will say, just a slight aside, just a little note for me. It's interesting. And you know, some people in chat, and even you, Lucky, might have some thoughts on this. But I just happened to see a couple of videos about some of the Pathfinder games by Alcat.
Oh, really?
Really got me interested in trying Wrath of the Righteous sometime.
Oh, yeah.
It seems really neat. I did hear, and I believe this is something you lamented about when you played it. Unfortunately, the Gold Dragon Mythic Path seems to give you the least like story interactivity. Like apparently, like stuff you could do if like you decide to turn yourself into a lich and stuff is like way more creative and cool. Being a dragon is just like a neato thing, but it really does. Having watched a couple videos, like Mandalore Gaming did a review recently and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, this does seem really neat.
Oh, yeah, it definitely seems pretty neat, but I just have the problem of, since it's based off Pathfinder system, which is, you know, based loosely off the D&D system, it has those optimal strats, and if you're not doing those optimal strats, you're not playing the game right, and you'll get fucking...
Yeah.
You'll get fucking slamma-jammed. I will say that...
I mean, in general, I think the game is designed to slam-a-jam. They actually talk about some of the difficulties. But yeah, it's got some of that trace paralysis. Mandalore Gaming described both it and Kingmaker as, like, spreadsheets but fun.
Yeah.
I think it was specifically described as if, like, character creation process is like if going to the DMV was cool. And it seems neato, and I like it. It seems like they got some really interesting.
Like I think it's a good game if you like D&D and all that stuff, but oops. But like you can't, like this is one of the reasons why I've really come to enjoy point buy systems in our tabletops and whatnot, for that like edit flexibility. Like you can't play Kingmaker and play a non-combat class. I mean, you can. You're gonna have a very bad time.
Yay.
Like,
no, I expect that.
Like, cause I wanted to make a Kitsune illusion, and I just realized, like, going in like this, I can't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it still follows the old school triangle of you need to kill more monsters to get better loot to, you know, to buy.
And obviously they put
to do it,
like management tools at the end of that as well. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm pretty sure I own Kingmaker on Steam, but I don't. I have to double check because I know there is a console that was part of the enhanced edition. There is a console version of Wrath of the Righteous, and the game can be turn-based, so that might be sufficient to play. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes I am concerned with graphical stuff and also having enough space on this hacking computer. I need to double check if that's like on PS Plus anywhere or not, because there's some weird stuff in there. Like I still haven't downloaded it, but Empire of Sin, which is like that Prohibition XCOM game the Paradox put out. And if you don't know what that is, I can link some videos to people in chat as well. Like that's free on PS Plus because they got a lot of console edition of Paradox's stuff. Like you can play City Skylines console edition if you want. I haven't played my PC copy, so I'm not eager to download. But like I need to double check if they got that. It also, just in general, also as somebody Aaron just said this in chat as well, makes me hype for the Rogue Trader game that Alcat is working on. That should be a lot more interesting. And that game is was an FFG game originally. That's mostly point buy. Like you have a static pool of EXP that you expend to buy talents and increase stats and skills and stuff.
Yep, it does turn them into the new color. Sick.
Oh yeah, that's how the old one worked too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is a great way if you need to farm specific choo-choo jellies, is just expose them to elemental stuff. It's a lot easier in tiers though because of the way fruits work. But yeah, no. Basically, if for those of you in chat, hopefully you've been listening to stuff, if you want to understand how progression in Rogue Trader works, is basically imagine it like the Genesis/Star Wars RPG. Just all your EXP values are have an extra digit in there. They did things in values of hundreds instead of like 5s and 10s. It was also percentile based, but that probably makes it way easier to convert into a CRPG. So, like, hearing good things about the way those Pathfinder games work, and just like, oh, this is gonna be slick.
Yeah, no. When it comes out, I'll probably pick it up. It'll probably be like my first real entry into fucking 40K, though.
Yeah, I watched Alter actually play. Was it the closed beta? I think it was a closed. He played a beta, and he actually streamed a little bit to Discord. I think it was just me and Axe in there, but I watched it. It seems pretty neat, like gameplay-wise, and obviously there's going to be some interesting, weird 40K stuff in there. Oh, yeah, that seems to be expected. Owlcat's relatively new to video games. This is, what, like, their third one ever? I hear they have a lot of buggy releases, but it gets ironed out eventually. Mandalore made sure to bring this up for both Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, that modernly they are actually pretty well-rounded in terms of bugs and stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's also, I think it's interesting that they picked Rogue Trader as the base. I think that makes like the inevitable economic subsystems a lot easier to manage because that was in the original game. But also power level wise, the RPGs are actually, the old Fantasy Flight games, 40K RPGs are actually tiered. Like, they are separate game lines that do separate things, but well, Rogue Trader was the name of the first thing, but that's just what they called it. It was like a first edition of the 40K video game. Rogue Trader was the second RPG that Fantasy Flight made. It is the middle tier in terms of power. Dark Heresy, which is basically like Call of Cthulhu, but in space, kind of, 40K wise. That's very low powered. Characters in that are very, very fragile and often get horribly yeeted by cultists and demons and the like. Rogue Trader is a step up. You actually have like political and economic power, and your characters actually start with a higher like EXP base, right? And then the third tier was Deathwatch, where you play Space Marines. Those guys were worth a lot of EXP because they had a lot of powers by default. And the way Black Crusade and Only War worked, Black Crusade where you play as Chaos, cultists and other faction members, and Only War where you play Imperial Guardsmen, were on slightly different EXP curves, but still kind of middle powered. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Excited for that. Keep trimming my notes. Gotta take a sip of some water. But there's a lot of fun little stuff there. We know that technically it's not a state of play even. I think it's a PlayStation Presents, as they're calling it.
It's a big thing.
Yeah. They've blocked out at least an hour, and they've said that it will include first party and third party. Specifically, they use the words spellbinding. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be a 16 trailer.
Yeah, it's probably going to be their final trailer.
Yes, I'm also hoping for a demo. Though I think with the timing, that could also be at Summer Games Fest. We're not sure. But third party and first party for, PS5 and PSVR. I think they are going to focus on next-gen stuff. And there's a lot there that it could be. I think the ones we can almost guarantee for sure is there will be some kind of 16 coverage, because that is the next big feather in their cap for PlayStation. And then Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 is supposed to come out sometime this year, so we're probably going to get more concrete on that. Other than that, it's kind of open-ended.
There's been a lot of people speculating on what's going to show up. I'm personally hoping for some Stellar Blade news. I'm ready for Korean Nier. Just give it to me.
I think I agree with that. It sounds like it's about time for some of that.
Yeah. Once again, the rumor mill goes on saying we'll get the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake announced here.
Yes, allegedly. To reiterate, the rumor I've heard on the internet from persistent sources is Konami has made a exclusivity deal with Sony, and they are going to bring the Silent Hill 2 remake. This is known already. We already know it exists, and it's a console exclusive. They're also going to bring a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake and a as yet unnamed Castlevania sequel. So that's going to be really interesting to see if that actually happens. But this is kind of like, The Boy Who Cried Sniper Wolf at this point. So I'll just see when I see,
Yeah. People are also hoping that maybe some of these other potential leaks that people have heard of may come out, such as the Persona 3 remake and the Jet Set Radio Future remake.
Yeah, that might be at Summer Games Fest and not PlayStation,
Yeah.
especially because Persona seems to be explicitly going out of their way to widen what consoles they're on.
Yeah.
It was a big deal that they've been putting, P5 and then the enhanced versions of P3 and P4 on like Steam, Switch, Xbox, etc.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that I've heard of.
the one I've seen, at least on Twitter persistently, is a lot of people seem like they're anticipating an announcement from Sucker Punch, usually thinking of Ghost of Tsushima 2. It is, I don't know if it's explicitly known for better or worse, but it has been heavily suggested that Sucker Punch is working on a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, that would, like I
So-
said, if it was going to be anywhere, it'd be there.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sucker Punch is a first-party studio for Sony. So.
Yes. Santa Monica is supposedly working on a new project, but I don't.
They can't be.
God of War Ragnarok's only been out like 6 months. They can't be in any like super heavy production phase yet.
No, I don't think so.
We might see a twofer from Insomniac because they also announced that Wolverine game as well some time ago.
I am interested in that. If we can just get like a more concrete trailer, I'd be happy.
Yeah, we just got a teaser trailer last time, so just like an actual like, what is this Wolverine game going to be about? Obviously, seeing Insomniac, who have just knocked it out of the park with Spider-Man recently, be like, "Hey, we're making a Wolverine game." You'd
I
be
hope
like,
it's like Savage Wolverine, where they like put him in like fucking the 1940s or something. That'd be sick.
Just in general, give me some fucking time traveling Wolverine. Like maybe that's your tutorial, is like with the Howling Commandos, and then he takes a little nap for a little bit. You could get 70s Wolverine. Anyway, there's a lot of Wolverine to draw from, which can be pretty cool. And I feel like for a long time, Wolverine Logan was like oversaturated with the X-Men, and I don't know a lot about what comics are doing right now, but it feels like pop culturally we've kind of rolled that back a little. Ever since Hugh Jackman kind of said he after Logan, the movie about Old Man Logan, that he was like kind of packing it in. And as of the time being, whatever the MCU can do with mutants has not materialized yet. I feel like we're in a primo place for some Wolverine action.
I think so.
Because I know Wolverine's overhyped, but I like Wolverine. He is in my top set of X-Men. Now, if you want a really ambitious game, give me a Rogue game. If only because that would let you do some freaky power matchup stuff.
Nah, for me it has to be Gambit.
Ooh, a Gambit game would be so... Well, that would basically be like Metal Gear Rising, but instead of slashing, it's exploding.
Yeah.
That would be pretty sick.
Especially
Also
if they
big fan
use
of
like get the New Orleans Gambit. That was
Oh, yeah.
that was my youth right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like there's... Obviously, it's one of those things whenever you have an ensemble cast, everybody has a favorite X-Man, but like there's some real good X-Men characters. Just for the love of God, don't give us a Cyclops game.
Oh God, please no.
I don't need to be mean to Scott Summers, but somebody should be mean to him.
I'll be fucking.
Cyclops knows what he's done. But yeah, there's a lot of potential and all that fun stuff there. And obviously, like we said, Spider-Man 2 gonna be really interesting. Let me see. Do we have any more person stuff? Like I said, there's a lot of things percolating. I don't think Square Enix will want to take away from 16 before it's out. We might still see another, like, maybe not a new trailer, but we might see a discussion of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because last we checked, that was winter this year. I don't know if they're going to want to solidify that release date and be like, okay, for sure, here's 16, it's locked in, and now here's where you can get, Rebirth. Like, I don't know where they're going to want to put their marketing on that.
I guess they
We'll
might
see.
split it up between this showcase and Summer Game Fest. Was Square Enix on the list for the Summer Game Fest? I don't remember.
I think they were. Let me double check. It should still not be too deep in a regular games chat. Some people are wondering if there will be more like Armored Core news. Not at PlayStation, I don't think, because that's not console exclusive.
No,
But Bandai Namco is on the Summer's Game Fest logo, so that will definitely like be there. All right, here's their partner list. Let's see. Yes, Square Enix is on there. Right, I remember because Disney's also on there. People are like, KH4? We'll see. But yeah, Square Enix is at Summer Games Fest, and that is like a week, 2 weeks. Let me check.
It's like early June. If
June
I remember
8th. June 8th. So let me actually pull up my calendar. Because Final Fantasy 16 is the 22nd, I think. Yeah, that's literally 2 weeks before 16 drops, so you'll probably see a sizzle reel trailer there, but that there will be no need to excessively market that game. It's 2 weeks out, you know. So we'll see some more stuff from them, I'm sure. But yeah, it's fairly open-ended. I'm glad that they mentioned it will be both you know, the first and third party. So there's some stuff to look forward to. There's gonna be some interesting stuff. Obviously, you'll probably see some notes from some previous games. I have downloaded it because it was free on PS Plus, but I haven't played it yet. But they, you know, released that Humanity game, that puzzle game with the dog. I don't know when I'll be playing that, but I will play it sometime. I do have it, like I said, downloaded. Because that's my kind of like, you know, weird puzzle game thing. I'm still looking forward to that We Love Katamari reroll. That's early June, I think, too. Or is that July? I'll check later. But yeah, this one's going to be a big one. Expect us to be talking mostly about that, because that's next Wednesday? Next Thursday? May 24th. Yep, Wednesday.
Booyah!
It's going to be an hour long. When does it start, actually? Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right. I don't have to worry about pausing my 14 stream.
That means I'll be at work. Let's see.
They say several new creations from first and third party studios. Konami has been teasing a lot of announcements. That's going to be... the main thing I'm concerned about is... I'm just thinking about how awkward that'll be, because, like, while I haven't seen Hideo Kojima, like, talking about he's got anything editing, I'm wondering if we're going to see another Death Stranding 2 trailer.
Oh, we will see.
Assuming it's even called Death Stranding 2, because I think he even said that title may not be correct, because he is a mad lad. But yeah, that'll be a pretty good one. I mean, I'm going to actually talk about Bear. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of low juice today. I had some big stodgy pizza. I've been very tired lately. I think it's like the spring and the summertime, like, temperature stuff. Right now, let's see. It's 9 o'clock at night. It is 80 degrees and raining outside. So I don't know if I have the much of the juice to do much of anything. Tomorrow, we will definitely be doing some more red markets, unless somebody's exploded again. But I think Aaron's got his work cleared up, assuming Dallas is still, like, functional. And, I mean, he showed up for a little bit on Fail Portrayal. We are professional sleep boys. That should be good. If you're Concernicus, the Red Markets AP did finally get uploaded. There was a glitch for the first time. It's sitting in the hopper. I will probably be releasing it tomorrow, just because, as Lucky as mentioned.
But this is what I'm fucking doing.
It works. This is what I like about a lot of these device puzzles. It's not always exactly as intentional, but you can make stuff work. I've done some dumb, weird stuff before. But I'll probably release the Red Markets episode 1 AP tomorrow, just because, as Lucky likes to say, we don't want to, like, overcrowd video uploads all the time. We usually do, one upload a day, at most one live stream a day. So don't want to crowd your feed. I'll get you to that tomorrow, so you too can listen to that. It was an interesting first episode. I think we had a good time. There's a lot of tension and stuff. A lot of early growing pains as usual.
Mm-hmm. Getting
used to the new system and the players kind of, like, feeling out all the stuff. There's just stuff going on. And, like, we're still getting used to the new book. Like, for instance, I talked about how I was trying to figure out how the establishing the equilibrium works if you don't look it up.
Mhm.
It's either in the expanded section of prep work, or maybe it's in the compacted. It's in one of the spots where they discuss the prep work actions, where there is a line that specifically says, technically, I am drifting a little bit the normal process. It says you can do this, and I do like to do a lot of stuff like ahead of time. Strictly speaking, the normal way you do things is to roll the equilibrium, the value of a job, right there at the table. So it says that if you don't do the prep work action to and succeed at looking up a job's price point ahead of time, it is rolled and mentioned when you start negotiating. So that was correct. It's just that, like I've pointed out, it's in a kind of a weird spot where
The
it's
fuck?
if you get into the specific prep work.
Oh no, that was the ball. I thought that was something different.
No, you got the ball.
I was confused slightly.
Now you're thinking with recall. But yeah, so hopefully next time we're gonna have a little bit of a smoother run, and we'll see what happens.
I'm excited.
At the moment, I'm like, I have these weird things because, like I said, I've listened to a lot of like people playtesting and running this game early. I know for a fact people do re-roll the equilibrium for jobs, but I cannot find a mention of when is the best time to do that in the book. So I think I may just set it up so that basically, if you guys want to spend an action, a prep work action, to look up the price of a job, even if you already know what that job is, I will adjust it. Otherwise, you got to just either take it as is or look into the new job.
No, like, do we want to talk about red markets as a whole, or do you want? Are you?
Yeah, we can talk about red markets as a whole. It's in my notes.
Because
I'm not that sleepy.
Okay, because like, red markets is one of those games that's completely my jam. For those of you who don't know, Lucky loves gear, but along with gear, I also love logistics. Like, take
The game is
any-
nothing but gear and logistics.
Yeah, no.
It is
any
a
game that we've been
economic
on.
game.
We've been on. I have always started to try to build like a base, or I have a collection of stuff, or I am building something and I need resources for it. No matter what, like I can't escape it.
The
And-
unfortunate thing is that as both a player and a game master, I also like base building. I like to let players kind of like leave their mark on it. So this is why inevitably almost every homebrew I've ever done ends up with a base builder in there somewhere.
Like, don't you worry, Jinsakai. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, but I need a flying guy.
Those rules were quite well in place for a long time. It's just they're appropriately for the buffs they give expensive, and you guys need to actually sort out your real estate.
But so Red Markets has been described as a game of economic horror, and after playing it, like playing an actual session of it, I can understand it. Actually, do I have you guys? Hang on one second here. No, a Coldwood. I do not. Glorious. But because I realize that while the game does have a lot of cool gear and stuff, and you think, oh, I could totally afford that, you will quickly realize, no, I can't. And you have to start making choices about what you want to keep and what you're not. I'm pretty sure probably me and Axe. I don't know how Aaron and Dallas have been handling their bounty and stuff, but I have gone like over like 3 times what I spent my leftover bounty on, and I think I've just now like finalized it. And we've talked about this. It's very stressful. It is very stressful, but it's this kind of stress that I am into. Like, I like actually trying to figure out like what is going to be my best solution, what is going to give me the best, like the most advantage, like all that stuff. How can I best save money? Like after like playing the first session, I'm like, yeah, no, I understand. Hey, what you doing down there? Hang on one second. Someone was very rude. I'm gonna send you off this fucking mountain, bitch. Where was I? Oh man, I know I was talking about like.
I mean, Axe is talking about how everything has upkeep. None of the gear items in red markets are like a table. They're not just fixtures you don't use. The implication of the game is that ideally, when you go out and you do taking jobs, your items you're taking with you, you are actively utilizing. Your Ubix specs, you are spending, battery time, and that's all shit you have to pay for your utilities and stuff.
It hit me.
Careful with that.
Just watch.
Oh, it did hit you. That is funny. Goddamn.
But
Like, obviously, I get that there is some disconnect when it's like, oh, I have to pay full upkeep on my gun, but I didn't fire a shot.
yeah, no, that's like I that's the thing that I think I have the most personal quibble about. Like, I can understand if you use something you might need to pay upkeep in, but I don't think you need to pay full upkeep for just something you are carrying.
Something you didn't remove any charges from for sure. And I believe, and we can double check everything. Like I said, you know, I've listened to a lot of hours of this game being played, and I am familiar with the book, but it's been a while since I read it like cover to cover. And actually, I've never put any of it into practice before. But like, I believe the way it is intended is you have to pay upkeep for everything, and if you skip upkeep, you do not get to refresh any charges and risk it breaking.
Yeah,
Obviously, if you didn't spend any charges, the fact that you don't recharge that item that you're upkeeping doesn't matter. It's the malfunction part. I assume some of this is to prevent players from just getting a one-time windfall, buying something really expensive, and then sticking it in their backpack and never using it for 40 sessions.
well,
Which, like, obviously, like, I understand wanting to do that, but I understand kind of, like, not allowing you to do that. Basically, if you're buying gear in red markets, you want to be using it because you're paying for it either way.
well, yeah, I understand that, but like, as long as I still haven't figured out the proper way to use time bombs, but I think I'm gonna fire these at these guys. But like, I'm like, and like we were talking, like we were we were talking about this. Like, if you like get like a rocket launcher, which well, actually no, that would be in demand and static. You wouldn't be able to refresh it. That's one and fucking done. If you get something like
Just
a
like
fucking
Sneak.
grenade, like a fully loaded grenade launcher, and you're like, no, I don't want to use this, and you keep it safe at home for just an emergency, then like yes, like I think you should be able to do that because guess what? That's your fucking emergency gun, and if you don't bring it, you're not using it.
Yeah, there and who knows? Like I said, there are, as usual, it's very funny for us with our timing of everything. Even though I have been playing this game for a few years, but I've mentioned this. Caleb Stokes is like in the early phases of a new edition, a revised edition, where there will possibly be some more Enclave involvement. There'll be some smoother stuff. It may be that there's stuff you can store, and honestly, we can
What is this?
listen. We can hack.
Oh,
You've got
shit.
a fucking rocket sword. That's hilarious.
Okay.
You used up the rocket juice.
I did. I just wanted to see what would happen, and it was a little weird.
Yeah. Also, you set off this. You said you haven't quite figured out time bombs. I also have not figured out those. I've heard about people like attaching the bottom of gliders to like bomb guys. I'm like, how would I ever get that to be stable and not explode? Every time I've tried to futz with them, they've just been all over the place. But yeah, no. Like ultimately, if this is like a make or break point for us, no RPG is hack or edit proof. So we could homebrew something to come up with like your storage allowance. Like strictly speaking, while obviously your dependents do need some sort of financial support because for whatever reason they can't handle their own rents and stuff, they exist. You do pay rent. You must have physical storage space. Obviously, like it's 5. Well, yeah, but then you've given it to the fenceman. You're not getting that back. They need that. That is one thing I will say. If you give a piece of workable tech to another guy, he's using it.
Yeah, no, like my concern
like-
is not like necessarily like I think upkeep on things that you use, that's perfectly fine and reasonable.
Yeah,
Like
I'm debating, and like I said, I think it's this way because we're trying to prevent players from getting like too hoardy, too stockpiley, and like stretching disbelief. I know they had some very funny circumstances during the playtesting. Good old Malleus, strength 6. He only had a hammer. But you pay rent, you own a space, you have like utility upkeep. That's part of your survival.
I missed it barely.
You could probably like stick a gun in a case under your bed for a rainy day, and that does not. You should not be upkeeping that. Like this is a major thing, right? Takers are obviously doing a lot of scavenging and stuff, so there's a lot of question about like what would be good after 5 years. And a lot of stuff will last, you know, in a if you're kept in a cool, dry place and stuff.
Yeah,
Like you
and
said,
that-
a grenade launcher under your bed for a rainy day would still work. The question is just like, what's the limitation on that? Like, is it based off like your haul? Is it, you know, based off like how much rent you can afford or whatever? I don't know, but we
I
can.
would say
if it
personally, I would say
continues to
it's
be a
up to your.
sticking point, we
I
can
would say I
homebrew.
personally like. You know how strength is tied to your haul. I'd say fucking your adaptability is tied to your storage. You can hold
Okay,
3
really
items.
take your refresh.
Like if you have like high adaptability, you are prepared. You have things, and you basically every. Because here's the weird thing about fucking. I find about red markets is the stats don't do a lot.
Well, and this is one of the first and foremost things Caleb has said is being changed. There will be derived stats because apparently some people did not listen to the sidebar about the certain skills you should buy. So, like, yeah, it's obviously yes. The potentials, you know, and that's what they are called. They are called your potentials. They're not like your statistics. They are your potentials for that skill. They normally represent the cap for how increasing your skill is. You know. Some of them have direct use. You know, your haul is based on your strength,
But only if you have a backpack.
yes, which
See,
I like because that means you gotta have space to carry your stuff.
Yeah, that actually confused me. I thought it was your strength plus your backpack.
No, it is.
I got that wrong.
And
Excuse me.
well, actually, technically, Loth, I believe you can make skill checks to if you don't pay upkeep on certain weapons to try and keep them in repair. But
Well, yeah, you do a Actually, what is it? I think you just do a roll, and there's no
Yeah.
bonuses.
and I mean, I could possibly allow a mechanics roll as well. Again, talking about like working on stuff, but like your whatchamacallit, your strength correlates to haul. I believe you add speed to initiative.
Do you add speed to initiative?
It
Yeah,
might
you
just be
probably
roll
do.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also,
No,
I
then
think
again,
it's your
I think it
speed-
is. There's a couple of different initiative systems as well. I'd have to double check.
And speed also is the amount of time before you start taking fucking like toxic damage or something. I think
Yeah, that's
came
how long you can hold your breath.
up.
And
adaptability and
controls your
intelligence I
refresh.
think have no derived stats though.
No, adaptability is your refresh.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
That's always your refresh rate to just your ability to restock your items in the field, which is very important.
It is very important.
You are correct. Int doesn't have anything in there. It's just like usual. Int's correlated to a lot. No. Charisma has a derived statistic.
Yeah, your dependence.
Yeah. That one's another weird one. I think I kind of see why. Like, one, it does make sense. If you are super charismatic, that probably means you are talking, getting involved with a lot of people.
And also, I will say dependents are good for healing humanity. They really
It's
are.
true. You
important.
do get a benefit. Like each dependent erases a column. So if you're charisma 5, yes, that means you have 5 dependents, and yes, you have to pay five total bounty on them every session. Basically, assuming you don't actually get cracked, you would never actually hit a crack point because every session you'd heal 5 columns of humanity damage. You know,
Mhm.
like technically that means 4 is the optimal number because I think you crack at 5, but still, like it's really beneficial if you can do it. It's just it's more resources. And will is only derived stats. Like it's only your number of willpower
And I think
points.
that's
There are
the
no
problem
skills
with it
tied
too.
to
Is
it.
it's only good for this one thing, and you have to spend 10 points. It's a really useful thing, but Jesus, it's an investment every single fucking time.
No, pets don't count as dependents, but pets can have certain upgrades that basically give them slight functions. You can have them heal 1. No, int shouldn't tie to will. You're just trying to brainiac that because you're an int character.
Yep.
Your intelligence has nothing to do with your ability to just power through and flip shit. The will stat and the way will points work in red markets is absolutely based on Caleb Stokes' experience writing for and playing Eclipse Phase and Moxie. Well, I mean, I think again talking about derived stats. Lucky also guessed this. I'm gonna guess that your self-control is just gonna be equal to your will bonus in the new edition because you've been talking about derived stats, specifically calling out that people don't buy self-control when they should. So I suspect that will end up a derived stat.
I mean, I think self-control is weird under adaptability regardless.
Yeah. I mean, I always like it when you get out there a little with your stats. Adaptability is an interesting one, but it
No,
makes
I
sense
like
for
it.
this context. It's just putting your sand stat in that is weird. But I think it's because originally Caleb didn't want to put just one skill under will because that would make it really easy for people to just, max out will and self control and stuff. Well, not necessarily super easy, but it would make it a more viable choice. So it ended up being like more of a plain stat. But yeah, I think they'll swap the derived stuff. I mean, you can have a bunch of dogs for therapy reasons. Like I said, I was in the middle of saying this. Some pets will get upgrades to basically be therapy animals, and they will like
I
help
think
you
actually
heal humanity.
all
Not as much as a dependent, but there. And you do take humanity loss if something bad happens to your pet.
Yeah, no, there's three animals. Dog, there's dog, falcon, and horse. They can get the friendly upgrade, which will heal you 1 humanity.
Yeah. But also you have to like feed them food, which kind of simulates, similar to dependence. They rely on that, and they do have uh, a a negative quality, which is basically like under normal circumstances, if they get hit with killing damage, they die. They don't have any resilience, and if they die, you risk humanity loss because that was a living thing that was in your care,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
no, I
sure
think
would suck if it died.
one of the flavor texts they put in the Red Mountain Kids is like people have survived the most horrible shit, but they still put the gun to their mouth when they see their dog die. So
Yeah.
But no, so Red Markets, I think, for a first edition, definitely has some.
Also, for to put this in perspective, Caleb Stokes was not a game designer before this. He wrote some scenarios and did a little with other RPGs, but like this was his first attempt. And like I said, I've followed him and Role Playing Public Radio. They're an a RPG and actual play podcast. Like Caleb just kind of got involved in their group one day, and I'm sure you can track down podcasts and stuff where he talks about that journey earlier. But he was not like a longtime childhood gamer, a dice roller. He kind of ended up thrust into this group with the other RPR guys, and ultimately it turned into he kind of had his own ideas about RPGs, and it became Red Markets ultimately.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I still think it's like a good game. I'm excited to playing it. It's just I just feel like it's one of those things that players don't necessarily understand how the GM thinks, and GMs don't understand necessarily how players think. And that is a major thing I think that has to go in game design is game masters have to somewhat. I don't want to say the word interpret. It's they have to know what to expect, what players will do, and then build their systems around that.
Yeah.
Um.
When you are, and going even above the game master, when you're the game designer, you're trying to curate a specific experience.
Oh yeah, I meant to say game master. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean game designer. See, I did it again. God damn it.
When you're designing the game, you're trying to curate a specific experience, and generally the way games are designed, there's one game master, the referee. He has a different experience than the players.
Dragon.
Some games are GMless, etc. It's probably that same dragon because you're still up in whatchamacallit.
Nope, I'm in a different area, but that is.
Oh, okay.
I think that's Farash. I think.
What are you up in Hebra now?
No, I'm down in Central Hyrule. But listen. You can see the
Okay,
dragons from
raining,
far
okay.
fucking way. Look, like.
True.
Like, hang on. Let me highlight that. I am here. The dragon is here. But I mean.
Oh yeah, no. I'm having listened to playtest games. There was deliberately a decent amount of stress testing, like very specific oddball things were played. I know that like one campaign that included I think they might have been the only editor, but at least one of the actual editors of the book played in a campaign that was like all vehicle centric, even though the core book does say you're not supposed to start with a vehicle. They wanted to play test vehicle rules. Hell, I think I've talked about this. Caleb played his own game as well. He was on both sides of the screen. He actually did a playtest campaign where he was one of the players. He ended up playing a guy with prosthetics because he was like, I need to test my prosthetic limb rules. That was his character, Half Off, who you see in some examples in the book, who had a robot hand and a robot leg, which has some funny upgrades. He got some use out of the Kalima protocol, Kalima app. But yeah, I do think this was said in the RPVR podcast, their game designers workshop sub show, where he was talking about developing the second edition. that he does kind of feel like, after reading a lot of reviews and feedback from people, that like, obviously you got a core audience. He says specifically there's a Red Markets Discord. That's where a lot of like his playtesters and Kickstarter backers and stuff were. You get a kind of a core audience, and they kind of play the game a certain way, and a lot of those people are gonna like really buy into your ethos of it, and they're gonna be like me, and they're gonna have like seen whatchamacallit, like seen the development process, seen this talked about, seen the evolution of like the different playtests and stuff, and really be bought into the ethos of the game. Other people are gonna go on Drive Through RPG and be like, Red Market's a zombie game about economic horror. Cool. Pick it up, play it for the first time, have no idea who wrote it or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And you get different feedback from those different people. Like, for instance, I think he's talked about like negotiations probably getting simplified in a new edition
I don't
because
understand why. Fuck.
the hardcore fans, the people who are all in on this game and the people who play tested it, find it really interesting. A lot of players really like the idea of like the scams and going back and forth. You guys unfortunately did not get to play test that very much because your rolls for that first negotiation were very risky, very low.
We're kind of dumb.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there, and I think like when we talked about this, when you guys were doing prep work, there was some early conservation of resources. I don't think any of you wanted to risk the bounty on tapping a reference early, so like that just didn't happen. So there were just a lot of checks that were straight up failed, and then later I think it was realized like, oh, if we just knuckled up on the prep work a little, yes, we'd owe more money, but we might have more money paid. So, we'll see how we do a second session tomorrow and stuff. But yeah, like the people who were really into the game were really into negotiation, so that got talked up. But it is kind of a complex bugaboo, and it is kind of weird if you don't have a face character. Like what you do, the fixer is interesting, and it's a good way to like give everybody a chance to go at negotiation. But also, like, you guys are immediately like, okay, we need to juice our fixer, or maybe we just need to become our own fixer. Maybe we need to just become a face. Like, it's cool, but also you guys are immediately looking at, like, how he made it that there. I mean, you could have the bounty to make him better. Axe, if you have enough bounty to become the face, you have enough bounty to make the fixer better. I'll say that.
Well, the problem with the upgrading the fixer is one of those things that everyone has to do it, which just brings in that matter of people wanting to give up the things, because the fixer kind of starts off a bitch. He starts with 3 charisma, right?
Yeah, he's got potential 3 charisma and then 1 in every charisma stat.
So he doesn't start off, particularly good at anything, but he does have the high potential, and 1 will.
Yeah. And obviously, like, upgrading the skills, it's not that expensive. Like, each one of you would just carve out 1 bounty.
It doesn't go you don't need to spend 3.
No. Yeah, right? This is an important thing that I don't know if it's been clear yet, but there is no increase of paying points for potentials or skills. It's just 1 or 10 every time. The main thing is just if you want to reach those heights, you have to pay out. Like, if you want to go from 0 to 3, that's 3 bounty total. If you wanted to go to 3 in potential, it'd be 20 total, because you got to pay 10 twice because you have at least 1. But yeah, so it's not that hard. It's just, it's a thing you guys can do. The main thing is just, obviously, like I said, your first session was your first session, so you guys, were working off on a lot of budgeting. Some of you had to, spend money to heal injuries and stuff, or soften injuries. Because your medic can only do so much in the field to reduce everything. So we'll see how that keeps shaking out. Got it. And obviously, we're going to get into vignettes and stuff actually next time, because hopefully we won't be in a rush, and there'll be things we can get in. And, tying into that aspect of it. But yeah, there's definitely potential there, but also you guys have, like, just got into it. And how much worse would it be if we were playing with the no budget, no buy rule?
Oh, I don't think I could. I think that at that point we go from, good stress to bad stress.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, I'm glad it's an optional rule. Most groups I see play with it because I feel like it is the intended way to play. Most of the bust rules are, but I was also like, no, I know my players. They are not going to have any fun doing this, and ultimately, I know fun is like an unquantifiable buzzword, but ultimately, we are playing RPGs to have fun and have a good time. And I think the no budget, no buy rule, which to explain to everybody who doesn't know, normally, first of all, in red markets, all character progression is money based. Caleb has notes about this and stuff. Part of it's just the economics of the game and not wanting to add another thing to track, but also there's a little bit of philosophical talk in it. Like you can argue in real life, actually gaining skills can be monetarily based. Like there's a difference between whether or not it's. Yeah, I think it is. They do that. But like whether you have the free time, can afford the free time to be self-taught, right? Or you can actually pay for a course and materials to teach yourself something. That's all some kind of economic value. So you spend bounty to increase stats, buy new gear, upgrade gear, heal yourself, etc. So the way the no budget, no buy rule works is if you do no budget, no buy, at the start of the job, before you get paid, you budget out your purchases for the end of the job. So you look at how much money you should make and say, okay, I'm going to put this much more towards this piece of new gear, these upgrades, set aside some for healing myself, this much goes to retirement, etc., etc. If you do not budget it at the end of the session, if you want to buy it, it goes into your bank instead, and you have to, technically it goes all towards your retirement, anything you don't budget. You have to roll a self-control check to take money out of your bank, which can cause humanity damage, etc.
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, the way it works is if you don't budget it to go into the bank either, you just spend it and you just lose it.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I that is technically correct. I just personally assume that anybody would be like, your GM would have to be a giant asshole to be like, oh, well, you didn't say the rest of your 10 bounty would be going into your bank, so it's just gone.
I mean, that's how I think it goes. But
that's how it's written. I don't think most GMs would actually run it that way. I think most players would have the sense to be like, oh, it's just going to disappear if I don't bank it. Okay, I bank it. I bank the rest. But no matter what, it's like you have to worry about it. What happens if you budgeted for something you don't need? Well, too bad. And that, while obviously, literally there are sidebars and discussions of ecology and stats and stuff, this is more realistic to poverty. You get a windfall, you spend all your money right away instead of, using it appropriately. It's much more stressful. It borders on the too real zone for some people. And, shout out to those people who feel like they can't afford to go there, but it's just well, I mean, you say that I think the problem is people know what to expect. I have seen people play no budget, no buy without too much problems, because they were willing to play conservatively and limit themselves. Obviously, I think we're also in a lot of playtesting and experimentation, but the actual act of no budgeting is you can totally know what you want at the start. It's just not adjustable, and I know you guys, especially with new whatchamacallits, new systems, there's a lot of early game adjustment involved. Literally nothing money-wise, but after last session, Aaron was like, hey, can I, rebalance my skills? I didn't realize, where we had overlap and where we don't have overlap. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. So long as it's all 1-to-1, I don't mind retraining. You guys are... We're doing this to have fun together and build this cool improv storytelling thing. I'm not here to be like, no, you must purchase a potion of forget memory to delete all your class levels and relearn them. Or you have to get a wish from a witch to retrain your class levels. No, that's... I'm sure... Much like there are people who enjoy playing roguelikes and, Soulsborne games on their highest possible challenge and whatnot, I am sure there are people who like that experience in their tabletopping thing, but... So you want Dallas to not roleplay his character until I force him to roleplay his character? I see how it is, Axe.
Well, this is Axe being Axe, and thinking mostly about his convenience rather than others.
That's not how role playing should work. His character is cowardly about stuff. If Dallas jumps to his points there, he can get there, and I can be like, yeah, no, that sounds like you're playing in your weak spot.
Yeah, no, I think like I mean personally when Dallas, I was a little miffed when Dallas in game, just like, hey, I'm gonna go check out that guardhouse. I was like, maybe you shouldn't, but whatever. I'm going by the you say it, you do it rule.
Yeah.
But like I don't think I was that mad at all when he saw the fucking guy with the fucking patch. He's like, I run. I'm like, no, that makes sense.
No, that's right. I mean, I think there was a little bit of frustration of them. Like I think pretty sure on the recording, and people can listen later. You said like, well, not letting Baron go up there anymore. But like at the same time, you also did say about the actual running, like, yeah, no, that tracks.
What is this? Oh, it's a fire breath Lazal blade.
Well,
okay.
yes, he had. That's hindsight, Axe. You literally just said you talked about this problem where people like think they want something or know what they want and don't know. Are you telling me you have perfect foresight and not hindsight? No, that's not correct. Like he's running a little low on meals. He needs to cook. But like I mean I think that was the discussion that like sneaking up stuff, Oh, that's cute. All the light roots of the name of their shrines backwards. That's funny. I like that.
That is funny.
But yeah, no, like strictly speaking, in terms of pure skills, Dallas was like the first or second best person to do that. He's sneaky.
Yeah.
That's one of the things he does in your squad is he can sneak. It's mostly for personal preference rather than role, but it's a skill he's good at. And like, if that hadn't been a DHQS guy, I don't know what kind of guy it would have been, otherwise, but hypothetically, if it had not been that, he could have done other stuff.
Bitch.
And well, yes, you do you say I budget my upkeep. Like it's I don't think there's a separate sheet where you do no budget, no buy. You just say how much you're budgeting for what. So you can just say I need to budget my upkeep because that's all calculated. Also, again, I'm
gonna do it.
That's a you assumption, Axe. You're saying people don't know what they want. No. I've known plenty of people who know exactly what they want out of no budget, no buy. The problem is again when other incidental expenses come up, like you get injured and you didn't budget for healing.
Behold, Omega, my new magic spell, Iron Ball. This is perfect. Oh, I can't. I wish I could just fling it. No, okay.
Oh, we got a lot of funny.
No, I enjoy like putting things together. It's just as likely that I'm gonna get to something that looks completely fugly to me as to get something that I actually like. So
yeah, I mentioned this way at the top. Like it's very hit or miss.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to make another. Let's make. Also, guys, let me just fuse from the fucking menu.
Oh my god, yes, please. The UI for this is so... Ugh. Like, obviously, I get fusing world objects. You need to have it as a power so you can actually, like, touch it. But, like, it's in my pocket.
Oh, that's a Knight's Claymore. Interesting.
I don't need them.
This looks pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. Woo! Let's go! Oh.
I mean, you can get hosed at him in character, but like that's the thing you should bring up. And technically, I mentioned this. I was a little light on some of the checks. I need to remember to be a little better about your self-control checks. Technically, those people who got shot should have been rolling checks versus trauma. I probably should have had you roll stress checks because your latent was shot, and that's very bad. And like, if you want to have a conversation with Baron about him scooching ahead and stuff, that's another thing. But that's. Like, at the same time, it's also like, yes, he's role-playing. That's his thing. And all of you were there in session 0 when he said it was a thing.
Yeah.
And
well, no, the thing what I meant by, like, not letting Baron do that again, I was like, I think I was, like, a little mid, but also, I think it was also because I was missed at myself, but like, oh, yeah, he doesn't like humanity.
Yeah, no, he's got this thing with, he is not anti-authority, he is scared of authority. And I think that'll put some... Well, Axe, it wasn't the mere mention of them. There is one of them was standing right the fuck there. He did shoot him.
Yeah, no.
Like
He-
I don't know, Axe. I think you're doing a little bit of like, you know. No, he didn't actually leave. He joked about running down the street, but he also like when I ask him, "Are you actually running down the street?" He's like, "No, I'm not actually running down the
he
street."
said he's like he's hiding under a car.
Yeah, no. Like this is the thing you're bad at. Dallas is an exaggerator. That is a Dallas thing. I say this is also an exaggerator. Who, by the way, you have gotten on me for because I like to say things in iterations of 5 or 10 million as an exaggeration. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's not literal. It's figurative. But like I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bit like you're doing that thing where you're trying to look at it from your optimal RPG player brain and like Axe, you as a person, if you had crawled up and a government spook was standing in a guard booth and, you know, talking about stuff, you would not be riding high and happy. Like, and obviously, you know, I know there is, you know, it's role playing. We're doing this to fantasy and explore different tropes of ourselves. But the point of stuff like your weak and soft spots is like these are your limitations. You know, you guys aren't heroes. You're takers. You're not meant to be, you know, unthinking, unfeeling, hardened killing machines. Like one of the general rules of red markets is everybody in some way would break eventually, no matter what. That's why you got to retire. You got to build a quote unquote a safe space yourself. I mean, like I said, Dallas is exaggerated guy. He gets in there. But I like that he role plays his character point. Like he's like, oh, I'm running away. This is my thing. Okay, we're going. I'm fleeing. Flee.
Like real talk, Axe, what roleplay did you do in that game?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, part of this is because you as the scout, spotted a lot of stuff and like went around some things to be a little more interpersonal. And I guess we did kind of have we did have an interlude segment when we got to the last leg. You were guys like, okay, no more legs.
I mean, we just fought a fucking bear. We need a moment.
Yeah, we need a sec. So there was a little bit of roleplay from everybody there, but yeah, like Dallas hit on his soft spots the easiest because, funnily enough, that was your job complication. You guys avoided some legs and some other stuff where some other things would have been there. Technically, I probably should I'll try and keep adjusting and keep on stuff. I'm like still going to the well of the book a lot to like roll stuff out. I probably should have offered Axe like a will to go bail Dallas out of the chemical spill when he tripped and fell. Because remember, Danny is excessively helpful. Absolutely, some of Halvar's buttons would have gotten pressed if you guys had actually like walked up to that encounter with those archivists. You know, they stuff like that. But obviously, you know, this is again part of the adjustment phase of like I have to get used to not just running the game but also running it well, and get into like calling for additional reflexy type checks. I think, you know, actually rolling it out wise, everything was pretty good. It's like, you know, your scout wants to look at the leg. Okay, roll awareness. You eyeball the leg. And then I'm like, you have failed to eyeball the leg. What do you want to do? All right, well, we want to go around. Okay, you can sneak through. Obviously, with the consequences that if you get caught, bad stuff happens.
Yeah. Like bears.
Well, that's also true. That was just the leg.
I know. I'm just going to keep...
Don't worry. Well, there's lots of fun stuff going on there. But yeah, I know. And obviously the characters are pretty new. Like I said, we'll do vignettes next time, so we'll be actually like in there and doing stuff.
Nah, but I'm excited. I picked up a flashlight. I picked up some binos. I'm excited. Like this is the thing that I think that keeps getting me. I keep looking at the gear. I'm like, I want that. Then I look at the upkeep and it's like, I can't have it.
Yeah.
And this is the one I'm thinking is like, we need that negotiation because I think we got a little lucky on the. We weren't. Like, the negotiations didn't go great, but I still think, like, we pushed every time.
Yes, you only had 2 rounds to negotiate, but because you had Dallas rolling and the dice decided to like him that phase, your negotiator basically succeeded on all their rolls, so it went very well for you.
Yeah, so you were able to get what hazard, which I think was the saving fucking grace. Otherwise, I think most of us would have had like fucking. Yeah, no, it was the fucking hazard and the damn and the fucking bear meat that really saved our bacon. Cause without that, I don't
Well,
think
technically
any
it
of
was
us.
like bare bones and claws, but yeah,
Well, yeah, well, meat, claws, gallbladders, testicles.
whatever you use for traditional medicine.
Yeah, but like it was only those things that really was able to let
By,
any of
by
us
the way,
break
chat,
even.
you can't listen to it yet, but it'll be posted tomorrow. But we're not kidding. They ran into a bear on one of their legs of the journey, and as I said, that was just an incidental random encounter. That was not the goal of the job. That was not the main thing. There was
Bear.
just a bear.
It was a
There were
fun
several
one.
other things. It was kind of funny you guys ended up with the 5-leg one, but that worked out really well with hazard pay.
So it's just one of those things of like this is the thing that I'm trying to suckle is like how do people save up for retirement when like most of the thing is like because like what every we need like what 60 total, I think.
It's 20 per milestone.
Yeah, no, and it's just like,
Most campaigns do have a dedicated negotiator, and if you do have a dedicated, like, look at your sheet, look at all those 3s you have in potentials and skills and stuff. Imagine if you had somebody who was Cha focused who did that.
Mhm.
Like I said, there are some good negotiator characters, and if you roll good on leadership and you get some good scams going, you will get people who will make it to expenses every time. And expenses is great. I hope you guys get there someday, because that's just pure profit. Because that means your upkeep gets paid off the top as well. So
yeah, I don't
We'll
think I'm
see.
gonna go above Shaw too, but I think a lot of us are actually thinking about like putting some extra stuff into charisma and maybe the fixer. I don't know. Like, I guess this is also the question of how long we want this game to go overall. Because if I remember correctly, I didn't listen to it all, but I looked at it. I think like the 2 banners campaign was only what like 8 sessions.
no, I
Something-
think it's a little longer than that. Let me double check.
It was like 8 or 9. And I don't know if they succeeded or failed. I'm gonna be real. Actually, do I want to start my trek up to the fucking mountain? I think I do.
13 episodes.
13 episodes. Okay.
Though they started with a score a little bit because they needed to test that, so they might have had a little bit of an economic leg up. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's really weird. Like, on the one hand, more people means like less split in jobs, but it also means more skill sets, so it's a lot easier. Like right now, if one of you was playing a face instead of whatever your current character archetype is, you guys would be missing some stuff, you know?
Mhm.
Like, as you've built in, Crow is a really good scout.
Yes.
Obviously, the dice were very angry at you at points, but for the most part, like,
I
you
think I
were
rolled
on the ball with your scout rolls.
I think I rolled 5 critical failures.
Yeah,
one-
and definitely not that many critical successes.
I think I know 2 of them were back to back, and I almost fell out of my
So, like,
chair.
If other than the dice hating you, your skill set is good for you to actually successfully scout and sneak legs and scavenge for stuff.
Yes.
And that seemed to go pretty well. You also were a pretty effective DPS with your crossbow. Halvar didn't really get to shine in his melee thing, but also he didn't immediately die. But, doing like tanking, door holding, that kind of stuff, physically beating people up may come out more as well. Dallas, as your not quite hackerman, but as your tech guy, came in very handy. Like he was rolling well at critical junctures of the job that made certain things easier and not needing to fuck around with. And also he was a pretty good as a scavenger. And also he was not afraid to. Dallas really embraced the overspending rule. He was like, shotgun, okay, I have to spend 1. I'll spend 2 for another +1. Like,
that's what you're supposed to
was
do.
magnum.
Like, this was something that actually interested me. No one actually had to spend a refresh on anything. We're a little
Yeah, I
fortunate
think
because
Dallas. Well, it's because you successfully turned the bear into food. I gave you guys a partial refresh of your food, but yeah, nobody had to tap their adaptability yet. Well, yeah, having a medic is pretty important, but you could resolve that with like 1 skill normally.
it's just an insta-skill.
And I mean, obviously, you need some gear weight, but there's a few skills. I've usually seen medics usually have like sensitivity and stuff, and like, you know, not necessarily double as the face, but have some backup skills. But yeah, so like
Put this stuff in here.
right now, I think with the fact that you were the one who ended up with a tricked out rifle, you are also now a DPS. But like all of those are good roles to have, and if you pivoted somewhere, then you wouldn't have access to them. And honestly, having a medic was really important. 2 people got shot.
Bang.
Luckily, nobody got mauled by a bear, but that was a possibility. Also, you know, Dallas fell in some toxic waste barrels. Like, this was risky. There was some stuff going on. That's the general rule of the game: is risk equal reward. So the scarier things are, the bigger they pay out. Which I actually employed. I rolled really low for something, and then I actually figured out like what the job was based on the other random chart rolls, and I was like, oh no, this is way too low. Let me try that again. Ended up with a much higher bounty result, but that obviously means more risk. So yeah, we'll get into it, and hopefully you guys are a little more adjusted to some of the prep work stuff. And obviously, like I said, I think you guys are gonna build up to doing scores, which have a big profit potential. Like, you don't get to account for your breakpoint and your upkeep and stuff in there, but the price, I still roll the equilibrium. I roll the red and the black die to figure out what the value of each unit is, and those units are equal to your haul. So, like, if I roll double zeros, that means every point of haul you can spend on this item from the score is worth 20 bounty. All of you have at least 1 haul, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's, if you guys can get some extra haul, you can make some big bucks that way. But you have to have the space to do it, and also we have to do a little bit of the, you know, creative generation. I think, honestly, you'll need... How much haul does a sled give you?
+3, I believe.
Yeah, honestly, you probably only need, like, 1 sled. The question is just, like... Because you guys can still do some of the market manipulation on the result of a score. You just need a decent value and, like, work it out. And honestly, even if it's cheap, you know, if you can get a lot of haul of something that's like, even if I only roll 5, you know, let's see, what's everybody's... Most of you have an upkeep around 10 and a breakpoint of like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's like
10, if
I
rolled like 5 bounty per, I think if you'd still guys would at least break even, if not make a profit, if you filled all of your backpacks with whatever it was. Because let's see, I assume Axe and Dallas are both probably strength 1, so 1 haul. Pretty sure Halvar's 3 haul. Are you 2 haul?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 7. 7 times 5 is 45.
That's 35, my dude.
35, right. I'm done. 35. That's probably, what, close to your... That might be a little low if you're splitting it to your breakpoints.
Like, I think we're 10, 10, 11, 11, so that'd be 42.
Yeah, so maybe 5, you'd need some extra haul there, but still pretty close. Keeping in mind that that's the, like... It's 2d10, so it's not exactly like the d20 curve, but a total value of 5 is on the lower end of that bell curve. You know, it's much more likely you're gonna get. Technically, I think. Actually, I can check. Does anydice.com still work? Anydice.com used to be a great probability calculator for dice. Let me see if that website still works. It is. All right. Let's do the graph. Output 2d10. Calculate. Yes, 11 is actually your most likely number on 2d10s.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So yeah, that would be 55. Or not 55, it's 77. Which would be good. And obviously, if you guys could get like 3 haul each, you could make even a low-paying job, which would where the sleds come in.
The only problem with getting like additional haul is that I think almost every option is clunky. You can only default on stealth, which makes sense, but at the same time, I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, that's going to be... And again, some of this will come out when you guys, like, sit down and generate scores, right? Because we could do either the in-character or out-of-character method. I mean, if a horse is cool, but that's also more upkeep, more rations, etc.
It is, but can you set a horse to scavenge? No, that's only birds and dogs, I think.
Yeah,
but horses are cool. I asked this of you. It's like, hey, if I have a horse and we fill it up with haul, can I just tell it to go home if I have to upgrade? And you're just like, yes. I was like, sick.
Yeah. I mean, technically, you phrase it as like in the middle of the job.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking, I think that doesn't actually. because the only way you'll have haul that's really valuable is if you're at a job site. So sending the horse home is basically the job's over.
Yeah, but we still
Anyway,
found like we got a bear full of stuff, you know, like on
that's
the
true.
way.
You can occasionally find some small stuff that might work. But yeah, no, it's there's a lot of import and effect here, you know. Plus, you never know what you'll find out in the woods, in the stuff. There's like this was something that actually came in quite in handy. Was it's explicitly pointed out the way loot works is any gear that is mentioned on a guy is on a guy. You don't need a roll. And then you know there's other narrative stuff. So like there's a decent amount of wiggle room. Like for instance, if you guys are attacked by you know post-apocalyptic horsemen, so long as you don't you know kill the horse, hey, free horse.
I mean, I guess
Stuff
this
like
is what
that.
call shots are for.
Also true. Also,
Yep.
alternatively, this is what your melee guy is for because I don't think he has the man catcher upgrade on his spear right now, but he could. And that's me, by the way. That's you, Axe. You're making me wheeze. Axe saying, "Will you just let me speak my usual paragraphs about stuff to list all the loots?" Yeah, I do like detail. Obviously, I think a decent amount of pocket lint stuff for characters is not going to come in handy, but
Oh yeah.
at least for like that one spook you guys did actually drop to seal his stuff, it was like I was just listing logically like, what is he like? Well, he's like all in black and body armor. He's got, you know, his helmet on. He's got his night vision goggles. NVGs, by the way, I don't know if those are in the gear list anywhere.
They're only listed under night vision's only listed under binoculars.
Interesting. Yeah, so like
I mean, if
that,
you had
that's
a
why
fucking
there was
pair
no
of
separate.
binoculars that he strapped to his fucking head, I'll take that and take back my fucking bounty and
No, he did not. He would have
Damn it.
had like little, you know, government spookum goggles.
All right, whatever.
I might have to add those. I'm already working on, like I said, I've sketched out something for torches because you asked. I have my own ideas for stuff. I really want to, just because I like the near future stuff. I want to try and figure out what a portable 3D printer looks like in this system. Probably like you know, spend a charge, produce an item of like a simple item of like upkeep 2 or less. That could be reasonably made out of plastic.
Actually, Axe might be right. Night vision goggles might be in Velbins, actually. Hang on.
I'll double check, but if they are, then like I had some, and you guys can sell them or keep them as appropriate. If not, they're just like a thing he had that didn't come up. But I did explicitly mention he had a a radio clip to his vest and he had a gun.
Okay, charger, flare gun, fireworks, cell jammer. Mini. Okay,
I mean, yeah, no, you can make guns with 3D printers. Obviously, that means you have to still pay the upkeep on the item. It's just that like hypothetically, it's the kind of thing that would possibly like turn itself around. It would be a very high upkeep item though, and it would probably require like specialized skills and like you know certain resource requirements. Like I suspect it would probably start like hungry and capped, so you have to spend 2 every time. And then through upgrades, you can be like get higher quality plastics, etc. Probably give every item you produce fragile no matter what it originally had, so it breaks if you miss upkeep or not because it's made of plastics and polymers. I'll keep working on it. Like I said, I sketched out something for torches. I have an idea for because they have the Reaper axe in Velbin. I'm like, we need a Zweihander. We need to do bones.
Yeah, I don't see any NVGs.
I might have to put NVGs on there. Because obviously technically you don't need NVGs because narratively their purpose is covered by flashlights in core and flares / glow sticks in Velbin, but you might want something less subtle than those, or more subtle technically. Making a joke. And there are probably mods and stuff you can do. Like you could make it so like by default they let you do awareness checks in low light, and then you could add like thermographic, +1 to awareness checks to notice living creatures. So you want an axe with reach is what you're thinking of, Aaron? Halberd-like weapon?
A polearm? I mean, honestly, if I'm gonna be real, like that's probably still just a spear.
Yeah. I mean, it's a spear probably with... Can spears get potent? I think it gets potent. Damage curve in this game is interesting. Hey, that lake is shaped like a lizard.
Yeah, and that's what I was
Oh, there's
wondering.
several lizard-shaped lakes. That's adorable.
Yeah, no, I was just
Also
wondering
probably a
whatever
thing.
happened to the Divine Beast. Like, this is another weird thing I find about the game. Where did all the fucking Sheikah tech go?
Yes, it's all gone. We've
Just
cleaned
vanished.
up all of the Guardian. Like, obviously, every Skyview tower has, like, a Guardian's worth of arms in it. And probably got some other stuff, because they have, like, panels and floating and stuff. But where are all the lasers? And where are all of the ancient blades?
I'm pretty sure the ancient blades have been regulated to Zonai stuff, because that's probably where they actually fucking came from.
Oh, yeah, they just respect it. I mean, it makes sense that the shrines are gone, because you released them all.
Yeah.
All those guys became spirit orbs, and because when you start the game, you have maximum hearts, so... like, all of the shrines went away because they existed to strengthen and test Link to make sure he was ready to rumble with Calamity Ganon. And I do kind of like, the shrines now are all explicitly, like, something Rauru left behind for you to find because of time travel.
What were we talking about red markets again? Fuck, I got distracted.
Oh, just night vision goggles and stuff. There's a few things.
Like... Oh, yeah, we were talking about the spear. Like, the game, like, this is one of those things I kind of enjoy. They don't never really, like... You have a gun. You can probably specify what kind of gun you have, but they just, at any point, you have a handgun, or maybe a heavy gun. You have, you know, a rifle, or a hunting rifle. So if you have a spear that probably has the reach and the fucking, you know, the potent, it can probably just be a halberd. Like...
Yeah, you probably just gave it a sword or axe blade on there.
The Reaper is kind of unique. I think it's the only... Well, it's not the only weapon, but I think it's like the only melee weapon that lets you do multiple casualty kills, I think.
Yeah, and that's explicitly its purpose. They say it's designed to, like, scoop up extra casualties, you know?
Uh-oh. I don't think I'm going to make
So,
this.
even though it's named, it makes sense, you know? And I think this is a good logic for, like, allowing a Zweihander, which for the moment I'm thinking will just be like a sword. It's just killing damage, but also it has knockback built in. Because it's heavier and you do more powerful swings. But there is actually, I think, some legitimate growth in the past, you know, decade or so about, like, using two-handers is actually very useful in certain historic European martial arts, HEMA. They're very flexible. They're not as heavy as you think. It is still cumbersome. I don't think you can quick draw a Zweihander or type weapon, but they're not actually that heavy.
Well, they do already have Warhammer statted, so... Whamhammer.
Whamhammer. There's fun stuff, and I don't mind futzing around. I think they've got most of the good melee. Oh, there was your loading lag.
Yep.
Happens sometimes. You got to load some stuff.
They weren't expecting me just to literally drop in on Goron City. Like, wait a minute.
He's getting tactical. Prosthetic eyes have night vision. Well, I'll double check how that works. But also, you should not need to get bionic eyes in order to, you know, see at night. Obviously, there is some high-tech stuff like prosthetic limbs, the laser rifle. I've been wondering if, because that is something we are actually advancing in a lot of, is metamaterials. If, like, I could figure out a funny way to throw, like, an actual invisibility cloak, like a metamaterial cloak in there.
That seems a bit much, personally.
I mean, it'd be a lot, but it would also still have some of our realism. The way currently metamaterials work is we do actually have some that have negative refractive index. We have invisibility items. Problem? They have negative refractive index. Light doesn't pass through them. So if you had a cloak of invisibility, you know, a metamaterial cloak, you wouldn't be able to see out of it. So it would probably be something like, okay, you're invisible. You have +3 in all stealth rolls while this is turned on. You have to default awareness checks. You can't see shit. But that might be better as a plot thing. Like I said, I haven't actually sat down and sat it. I'm thinking about it. Because I like fun near future stuff, but I don't know necessarily where yet.
I get it. Cute.
Oh, okay. The bridge. Is this the same bridge one I've already done, or is this a different bridge one? Well, you got to make that one a little higher.
Go. I love this stuff. I really do.
Yeah, no. The like certain device puzzles, and thank God I haven't found any motion based puzzles in Tears. I think they realized that was a bad idea. Um. Okay, no, yeah, this one's different.
Are you sure this is the one just out that's in Goron City?
Yeah, I haven't done that one yet.
Oh, that's right.
This is
the one you haven't done. Derp.
Yeah, I haven't been to Goron City yet. There is another one that involves other things you can do with bridges. I haven't seen one where you actually get to put wheels on bridges. That's pretty cool.
Again, like I think you mentioned it, but yes, no, all these shrines are for usually to teach you something new that you can do.
Yeah, some of them are probably a little more RNG than Nintendo was intending.
I don't understand the purpose of the Jenga one. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I assume it's just to teach you about how like you can pull stuff out of stuff without necessarily making it fall over, but it might also just be a test of your reflexes.
That reminds me, Alter wants me to turn that into a soundbite. To a soundboard.
But there's, as you said, almost all of these are teaching moments. They are teaching you something that work with your interactions. They're teaching you about specific Zonai devices, about other, qualities, or just like, hey, if you see something like this, here's what you can do with it. Like you can use big wheels to ride narrow rails or walls. There's a different lava-based one that's all about hydrants that teaches you can use hydrants to cool lava into platforms, which you can then manipulate with Ultra Hand as usual. Like, there's all kinds of fun stuff. And it's real neato. And, like, all combat trials now they're either tutorials or they are, like, explicit survival challenges where they take all your shit, right?
Right.
Which some of those are a little tough, but still, like, they're like, okay, go back to basics. What do you do here? Figure this shit out. It's neato. They put a lot of thought into these. But yeah, Red Market's cool. We'll be back to it later.
Oh, I see. Cute. But no, like I'm excited to get more Red Markets in.
And if people want to catch all this, like I said,
go. Gather them all.
You can check that out when I post that one tomorrow's. The only other thing I think I want to mention really briefly is just because it's very interesting and it ties into some stuff we do, but mentioned it before, but Grimbeard does, super long video reviews and essays and stuff. Posted a new video recently about Vagrant Story, a PS1 RPG. It's got a lot of the same team behind it that ended up working on... they originally worked on games like Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics, and they ended up working on Final Fantasy 12 and eventually on 14. And it's a really interesting video you should check out because I think thematically there's a lot to be said about both the storytelling and also a lot of like art style decisions and characterizations. Yeah, you're thinking. Gonna make a Minesweeper. But like, it's very interesting. You should check it out. It sets up a lot of like interesting things just about like localization is done. Like this is something we talked about while I was playing 14 last week. At least if like Grimm's research is to be believed, that the kind of way that a lot of RPGs and especially a lot of Square Enix titles have like really flowery names for map zones may have started with the Vagrant Story localization. Especially because I believe, at least according to, like I said, what he found out, those same couple of translators who were working on Vagrant Story ended up on 12. 12 definitely has the really elaborate map zone names thing going on. So, and I don't know if it's still the precedent or if those guys were still involved with 14. Neither of them, I believe, mentioned was Koji Fox, so it's not the exact same makeup of the team, but. Also, I think the 14 localization team might be a little bit bigger than 2 dudes now. Just thinking. I know Koji Fox heads it, but I'm pretty sure they got some more guys. Back in the PS1 era, that's when you had 2 dudes in a spreadsheet. But it's just really interesting to check out. Like I said, the art style seems really interesting. There's a lot of concepts. Having like literally just closed the book on Heavensward. Which was a great cutscene for them to do. Just count 4 attempts, literally closes the book, and I'm like, oh, nice. They played like a nice little slow piano remix of one of Ishgard's main motifs. Very good. And the game whiplashed me a little by showing Estinian having escaped from his hospital bed, but the prior moment was cool. When Estinian was actually in his hospital, but it also gave me my warm fuzzies. All those boys together, being friends, being dorky boys. But like, there's a lot of like interplay of like, hey, who is right and what is, are we using religion for the purposes of faith or for our own ends? Something is wrong with this man. What's wrong with his eyes?
Yeah, no, there's something up here.
As you would expect. But yeah, like it's just I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, even though it sounds like Vagrant Story is really, really kind of an interesting space. They kind of left it open-ended, like the whole game basically functions as like a prologue to a greater story that they never came back to because it didn't, as is often the case with Square Enix, it did not perform exactly as expected or projected. But it's still really interesting. You should check it out because I think it sets up a lot of stuff. And it was mentioned, though I don't know exactly where, that apparently there are some nods to Vagrant Story that have ended up in 14. Which is always neat, kind of like how Square Enix gets around there. But all right, okay. That's everything on my list. We've been going for about 3 hours. Lucky, anything from you this week that is not just more tears?
No, it's just more tears.
Okay, well, you'll probably keep playing more tears. Oh. Because I'm getting a little sweepy and I need to fill my water. I'm getting scratchy-throated. But I think it's about a wrap-up time. It's a good episode, everybody. See you next week. Look forward to the, like I said, it's already uploaded and I've got all the details. I just didn't want to overload your feed. So look forward to the Red Markets episode to post tomorrow. We'll be back for more stuff Monday, etc. Keep going. This is actually a good point. What date is the 6.4 patch drop for
Tuesday,
14?
I believe.
Okay. I'm kind of hoping we get the connection stuff evened out. It wasn't a huge deal while I was doing MSQs, but I do know that some people had some lag when helping me do that final trial there.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people have been having, like, a lot of stuff with, like, PvP and whatnot. So hopefully we can get that straightened out when we get into the update. Or you'll get to watch me queue for the world for a long time. We'll see. It won't be that long. Even when the game says, like, in queue 30, it's not that long. Anyway, keep your eyes out. We're wrapping up.
Jesus, this shit's expensive.
Stretch my bones. Of course it is. Hyrule economy is real fucked. Okay, all right. Do the outro. If you're watching this video, like it. It probably does stuff. Check us out on YouTube and sub. Join our Discord, link in the description and channel page. Consider dropping us a channel membership. Support us on Patreon. That's another thing I said. Get access to audio. Sorry, big yawn. But you can get access to the audio for this for as little as $1 a month or roughly $10 a year.
Look
get
at
access to other
this
stuff going on.
motherfucker.
There's something wrong with those rock roasts.
This is the most extra Goron I have ever fucking seen.
There's nothing to worry about, in my opinion. Now stop flapping your rock choppers and get over here.
Oh, they do still have Goron spice. Neat. I've mostly seen cooking oil and acorns in the wild for spice. Well, it could be. Something's clearly going on with the mount. Anyway, that was it. That was the outro. We're getting out of here. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in.
in.